And good evening. Today is September 5th, Wednesday, midweek update with Drake. You're with Global Voice 2012, and it has been an exciting couple of days. Yesterday we were honored to have Mr. Richard Gilbert, an attorney for a team of lawyers that are going after the Republican National Convention on behalf of the injustices that went on at the convention, and specifically to Mr. Ron Paul, Dr. Ron Paul. And we were abruptly lost 21 minutes into the show on Blog Talk, and were able to, thanks to our backup, Paul Beener, able to start taking calls on freeconferencecall.net, and he was able to simulcast and continue on through Spreaker radio program. Thank goodness. We are in working with Blog Talk Radio to resolve these issues, and hopefully they never will happen again, because this has happened, well, way too many times. And we're working on getting that problem rectified, or we will find other location to broadcast from to avoid this kind of thing from happening. We are apologetic for the inconvenience to our listeners. I would like to remind everyone that our call-in number is 646-716-4984. As usual, we will be accepting questions from our chat room, which you can get to through through globalvoice2012.us, and then there is a button for monitored chat up at the top of the page. We do not, unfortunately, have Mr. Beener with us this evening as a backup. So, however, Blog Talk. Oh, you okay, Drake?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we hope Blog Talk is supposed to be monitoring and helping us through the show tonight to make sure that this same issue does not happen. And I would like to thank them if that is in fact the case. With that, I would like to welcome everyone and ask everyone just to remember my little kitten, Freedom, in prayer. She passed away this morning. And so I would just like everyone to remember my little Freedom, and she's just obtained hers a little sooner than the rest of us. So she's leading the way. Drake, welcome to the program. Grammy J and Rick Light, Minuteman, welcome.
Thank you.
Howdy.
Glad to have you back with us, Rick. Rick had called in prior to the program and already dropped once. Let's hope that's
all right.
Let's hope that was an isolated incident. Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Drake, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Well, there's a lot of things that go on. A lot of people don't pick up on, and a lot of people don't understand. But I've been tasked with posting some things so that people can get the information necessary to make changes. Some of that information people don't like because it don't get substantiated. Some of it is not anything better than hearsay. Some of it even sounds ludicrous, totally ridiculous, or however you want to look at that. Everybody's been hearing about Israel and Iran for quite a while. And there's a nice thing on Veterans Today that talks about that. Basically, that Israel does not have the capability to attack Iran, at least the way they'd like to, or as it might become a necessity. A lot of people don't know that that was just a distraction. A lot of people are not aware that the fun and games over there is not where the hotspot is. The hotspot's where we got a whole bunch of fighting and shooting and whatnot, better known as Syria. The plan, according to some people, was to go down there and use it as a pretense to starting World War III. The reason they would want to do this is so that they can eliminate enough of us so that they can take over, basically. I know, conspiracy theory and all that fun and games. Well, problem is that was a request through another friend of mine to make sure to see that that information got out so some people could start talking about it. And I'm happy to report that apparently the talk has calmed things down and changed some plans. So apparently we won't be dealing with the skies falling or any of that thing in the very near future. Now, some of the things that have been going on, I have told people about the UN being the butt wipe of the world in terms of being anti-freedom, anti-whatever, from what I've seen that is any kind of decent at all. And they've got a little thingy going on down there where they're trying to implement what's called a world parliament. They plan to rule us. UN to reform into the parliament and govern the world, a world government ministry. Oh, yeah, isn't that sweet? Then we got people like Bill and wife running around causing other problems. Some like to say, oh, I'm loyal. Whether they hate the president or not, Bill and Obama do not get along, by the way, in case anybody noticed that there's a little bit of tension there. So it probably cost them a pretty penny to get Bill to go to the convention and whatnot. Then you got Hillary, and she's still pushing the UN to ban everything that goes bang, be that firecrackers or air guns or what. So along with the World Parliament and some of the other stuff I put out, I think that, it's beginning to look interesting. Now, Bernanke, Mr. Fed, said that they're going to have an open-end bond purchase arrangement for a few days in the month of September, from about the 15th to the 17th. And that ought to be interesting, meaning they can take everything they got and stick it in bonds for the government. In Spain, a nice little thing on the EU, a lot of the heavy hitters are pulling their money out of the Spanish banks in what would be classified as a bank run. Now, everybody knows about Moody's downgrading things, changing the financial position of people and things of that nature. Well, they recently, and this is like yesterday, they dropped the EU credit rating from AAA to negative. Now, I don't know if everybody catches what that really means. When you go to from AAA to zilch, it's sort of like the same thing with the credit default swaps and that being your financial backup. There just ain't nobody home. So it's things are getting interesting. A lot of people are finding that the idea that anyone would contemplate world war, even on a conventional level, is screwy at best. So what I'm looking at is that, you get the RAF on standby, not alert, standby. In other words, ready to go into Syria, and you got NATO on a readiness alert to back them up, and all of a sudden, some podunk person, such as myself, gets a hold of some information, puts it on a website, everybody starts talking about it, and all of a sudden well, maybe not. Well, here's how this works. If somebody understands what's going on, they get inside information, and it doesn't necessarily have to be real inside information with details and all that. Just the generalization seems to work. When you advertise for them, and it's free advertising, I will advertise it until it hurts. This is ridiculous. We have spent, I think, more than enough money, let alone lives, blood, sweat, tears, and et cetera, on the fun and games we got now that should never have been in the first place anyway. I don't think we need to make it worse, but this is what they're looking to do. You take the military out, tire them out, wear them down, screw them up, and then stick them in another one? Think about that. You got less than performance in terms of being able to even defend yourself. Psychologically, it's one of those things where you just lower your weapon and say, "I'll go ahead and shoot me." I know, it's a downer. Well, some of the good things. Also, go to being local. We requested a couple of different times that people do a little something, and it don't take much. Leaving a message in a mailbox if it ain't full yet at the right politician's doorstep, that always helps them out. Popping off emails until such time as the mailbox fills up, that's fun, especially when you can say what you want because you know they're going to delete the whole thing in the morning. But the gist of it is this: being just an individual, being just a person that happens to be a voice, puts me in a funny position a lot of the time. One of those things is dealing with improprieties by our law enforcement or judicial system. And one of the things that's been mentioned recently and everybody needs to be aware of, and I mean you need to be aware of it, right now they're just snatching some people that can be snatched pretty easily, they think. This is beginning to change. You're going to hear a report, or you're going to hear some information from Rick Light, Minuteman, here in a minute that I hope is not only good news, but will help these situations. Now, we're picking on one particular case. The thing about this is that we're also going to pick on the legal team that is offering to assist with that sort of problem. In short, as everybody knows, the NDAA states they can snatch you, and on rumor alone, no sworn testimony, no due process of any kind, stick your butt in a hole somewhere and hold you as long as they feel like it, until the mold grows over you and they don't have to worry about you no more. The same thing has been a policy for years at a place called the Veterans Administration, and I get some benefits through it, but there's a big load of people out there that need the benefits, at least as bad as I do, or worse. These people are people that have been in combat, mostly, some not, and the administration, those who are in control of when you come back, those who are in control of when you go, those who are in control while you're there, know all about this. It is common knowledge to show in one form or another, or prove to an individual that you're an expendable asset. And the fun and game starts when they think they can get away with it with one group, nobody objects, they think they can do it with anybody else. You've heard the song and dance, they came for such and such and I didn't do anything, came for such and such and I didn't do anything, and it came for me and nobody else was there to help. Pretty simple. This is where scratching your own back. This is where looking in the mirror and realizing that that person you see there is your white knight. Realizing that if you don't do anything, you're complicit with the problem. I got to a point where I couldn't stand it anymore, so I started just lashing out in all directions. That didn't work too well. I reformed. I redid it. Over a period of years, I came to the conclusion that it didn't seem to matter. One little website, one little radio show here and there just didn't seem to make a difference. People didn't seem to pay attention. Then all of a sudden we come up with some of the fun and games that are really going on. Everybody finally had enough stuff, and by stuff I mean all the goodies that are going on, little thises and that's, and you ain't squat, and here's an executive order, chew on that. We can do as we want. The flaunting of the superiority and untouchability of the elite. I mean, good grief. It goes on and on. But I ain't going to rant on that. I'm going to say that individuals can make a difference with a little help from their friends, people they don't even know. Yeah, it's like the Rhinestone Cowboy. Cards and letters from people we don't even know. You might consider the idea that these people that write those letters, these people send cards in, they would like to touch that star. They want to be next to the fire. They want to be a part of something that's greater than themselves on a personal basis. They want their 5 minutes in the sunshine. They want their 10 minutes of glory. These people are common. You see show-offs all the time. And then you see some that sit back and wait until the opportunity is right, and then they take their action. And it can be good, bad, or whatever. But so long as somebody finds that there might be, and just probably is, a common ground, not just that we stand in the United States. And I got friends around here. Some of them live in the woods, some of them live in town, but they're regular people, just like the people that don't live in the woods are regular people in the cities. People who run back and forth on the highway to work every day and that stuff. We got a common ground, and you're standing on it. First of all, it's our country, and this is what I want to do. This is what I want to stress. Second of all, we are key. It's the only, quote, free country on the planet. It's not as free as it should be, and there are a whole bunch of us that intend to make sure that it does come out to be that way. I personally have decided that if things don't go our way, I'm going to fire all my guns at once and explode into space. I've just had enough. I'm not going through the ring around the rosy they got planned, and I'm not going to put up with their BS. So that's my decision. This is how I became a voice, why I got a target on my back, why I have to be careful with what I do, how come I got to carry a gun, all those wonderful things that shouldn't be but are right now. We got some things to look forward to. I just gave you a couple of them, real simple things. Financially, we're looking at exploding. In other real senses, they're looking at taking over by use of the financial inabilities or crippling effects that cutting all the food stamp cards, making sure the bank system don't work, all of the things you can think of. I put a little post up the other day about the audit and audit results. First time in nearly 100 years. It was pretty interesting. You'll find that they're paying themselves pretty much because it's the banks that control the banks, and the banks are the ones that are getting paid. And that sort of leaves all of us out of the loop. So I'm looking at, what is it that we can do? Well, collectively as a group, we could concentrate on a couple of different areas and definitely make a difference, keeping in mind that if they do it to that guy, and it don't matter what it is, I want you to really get this clearly in your mind. If somebody can do something to somebody else, they can also do the same thing to you. You are not immune. The people that think they are, think they got the ticket to ride, and they can do what they want, well, we're going to see about that, I guess. Rick, I understand you got a thing to read?
Yes, sir. I've got a statement from Charles Dyer.
I hope it's good news.
Well, I think he wants to put some clarity into some things, and this will be the first of many statements that Charles will have me read. As we all know, Charles has a 30-year conviction over him for child rape, and there was no evidence that substantiated, the conviction. None at all. So we're doing all we can to help Sergeant Dyer. Sergeant Dyer is a two-tour Marine, honorably discharged, never been in trouble in his life, and found himself in quite a mess after he spoke out against the government.
Okay, so in other words, we got a trumped-up charge, trumped-up sentence, and the whole 9 yards. It's all bogus.
Yes, that's what it is. Make no mistake. As I told people, I have been to about every trial that Charles Dyer has had, 2 mistrials, and then the 3rd trial, which after 2 mistrials, we all know that changes of venue, changes of judges, things like that have to start transpiring because, it becomes more of a hit job if that's not kept in check. But however, Stevens County, Oklahoma, They did not want to even consider that. They wanted basically everything to go their way. They controlled the whole thing all the way through. It didn't matter what kind of evidence Charles produced. It was pretty well shot out of court by the judge and the prosecutors, and he needs a voice. And Charles is a very good friend of mine. I've stood with him through most of this ordeal. And, well, he wrote me something he wanted read on the internet, and there'll be more coming in. Each one of these is addressed to the people out there. So let me start.
Go for it.
All right. It says, "Greetings. My name is Sergeant Charles A. Dyer. Many know me as July 4 Patriot. The last 3 years of my life have been a living nightmare. I have been harassed and threatened by federal agencies, had my family threatened and torn apart. I was pursued by the federal government and was ultimately wrongfully convicted of such a detestable crime that I received effectively a life sentence. During this journey, there have been people that have helped support me financially, mentally, and physically. Some of these people have had disagreements with one another that have progressed into hatred and mistrust. These people have fought back and forth in my name against one another. I will not list anyone's names without their approval, but Rick Light is one of these people. Some people have made allegations that Rick Light is a federal agent, a CIA operative, and my enemy. Now, let me say first and foremost that the people making these allegations are also my trusted friends, and have been integral in helping me financially, with legal help, and with boots on the deck attempting to safeguard my life. I do not necessarily agree with every action that everyone takes, but I do not believe any of their intentions are inherently destructive of my life, and they have my trust. I will say that I have never seen any physical proof that either convinces me or even concerns me that Rick Light is a federal agent or is working for a federal entity. On the contrary, I know from personal experience that Rick had several opportunities to have me arrested through both my actions and intentions, and could have seriously hurt the Patriot community by manipulating me. I will briefly describe one such opportunity. In November of 2010, the state of Oklahoma abducted my girlfriend's daughter from 900 miles away from me and held her hostage until my girlfriend agreed to leave Oklahoma and never return because I refused to admit to a crime I did not commit. I have never been convicted of a crime, and the government violated my rights of innocence until proven guilty, not to mention the countless other unconstitutional actions and threats by law enforcement to turn my life into another Ruby Ridge. I was pushed beyond my limits, accused of several crimes I didn't commit, and my family ripped apart, and my life had crumbled around me. I found myself ready to die and willing to take as many judges and district attorneys with me as I could. My mind was not straight, and I had more anger than I've ever felt in my life. If I would have acted out of rage, I would have given credence to everything said about me by the media, that I was a Timothy McVeigh-like danger to the community and the American people. This is what many people wanted. They violated the law, my Constitution, my rights, and pushed me to a mental breaking point. They succeeded, and only one man can take credit for stopping me, Rick Light. He spent several hours on the phone with me, daily for months, allowing me to vent my anger at him. He talked sense into me and opened my eyes to the trap that was been laid around me, that all the violations of my rights were no accident. He gathered men from several states and brought them to my home as support during court hearings to help comfort My girlfriend to assist my family. He helped us through our turmoil. If it weren't for Rick, I would have killed a lot of people, died, and tainted the Patriot militia movement. Another concern that Rick Light was hunting me down for the feds while I was on the run in Texas. I myself try to keep an open line of communication with federal agencies and local law enforcement on numerous occasions. I have had meetings with my local sheriff. Some of these Rick Light attended with me. At one point, I talked with FBI to dispel their thoughts that I was planning sedition. It was my thought that a little trust can go a long way in lowering tensions between the Patriot community and federal agencies. And I know for a fact that I am not a federal agent. So to think Rick is because he talks with them would be hypocritical and ignorant on my part. There are also rumors Rick caused my conviction. I'm not sure what was said, but my drug addict wife, or ex-wife, my lying district attorneys are responsible for my conviction alone. That and my lousy legal representation. The man that is responsible for my arrest in Texas is named Martin. Some spelling like that. Acted sympathetic to my cause, me into his home in San Antonio, then stranded me at a park and called the FBI. Rick had nothing to do with this. In summary, Rick White has been a good friend to me for years. He was stood by me when others didn't. He preserved my life and the integrity of the militia community. Is Rick Light an FBI agent? It's possible. Is he a cross-dressing hooker? It's possible. Is he a shape-shifting, brain-eating Trandoshian from planet Stupto? It's possible. What I do know is that I have seen nothing that suggests he is a brain-eating alien, a cross-dressing hooker, or an employee of the government. And until such evidence is shown, he has my full faith and confidence. Sincerely, Charles A. Dyer, July 4th Patriot.
Love it.
Yeah, as you can see, my brother's sense of humor is still alive and well. That's a good sign. I guess everybody would have to know the joke that me and Charles always had about, you know, the cross-dressing hookers and the brain-eating aliens. So it was good to see that he's keeping his sanity. He's doing real well considering his circumstances. I know that he took it rather hard that I was accused of some of these things that people have seen on the internet, along with, well, some of the other people that he knows help him as well. And he wanted to make sure that everybody understood that I've never done nothing to Charles but to help him. So if there's any more concern about, well, some of the stuff you're seeing on the internet, well, I hope that puts it at bay. And Charles will be sending more stuff to read to you guys as this thing progresses. The next letter, it's like I'm going to ask him to tell y'all what he needs, the help he needs. And if anybody out there is willing to help this Marine clear his name and get his life back, well, that would be great. That would be absolutely wonderful. That's what we're trying to do, folks, is we've heard about these vets being rounded up and done dirty. Here's one, just happens to be my friend. And if you look, Charles Dyer was probably one of the most famous of the cases out there. I mean, I think a lot of people remember his videos, the guy with the skeleton mask on that was Marine telling everybody about, well, the condition of their nation and that, you know, we needed to do something about it. We couldn't just let these politicians keep railroading us and have their narcissistic positions. I mean, just look what the NRC just done and rubbed it in everybody's face. I've been a registered Republican for 25 years. And I just watched them just literally get caught cheating and turn around and smugly look at everybody like, what you going to do about it? Better vote for Mr. Romney. Knowing that they were going to divide the liberty community. Make no mistake, folks. The RNC done that purposely, knowing they could divide the liberty community off of fear of Mr. Barack Obama. Let me say something about that. You know, I detest Barack Obama. Never will refer him as being the president of this nation. I have that much disdain for him. But folks, one man cannot defeat a nation. One man cannot defeat a nation. Not him, not Mr. Romney, or anybody else. It takes many men to defeat a nation, many people. And let me tell you something. When you get into the brass tacks of everybody involved with the destruction of America, they're a handful of people. That's what they are, folks. It's a handful of people. And I see all these people running around in fear that, oh, God, it's the end of the world. America is doomed if Barack Obama gets reelected. No, it won't. I'll argue with that every day of the week. Let me tell you what will happen if Barack Obama gets back in. You'll see the liberty movement grow stronger than it's ever been. You'll see the flames of freedom burn higher than you've ever seen them burn. Because we will not sit back and let one man and his henchmen destroy America. Same way for Mr. Romney. Mr. Romney gets in, these elections go off, Mr. Romney makes it. That'll be my message to him, and I hope I have a lot of people joining me. You, sir, you one man, with your few little henchmen out there, you will not destroy my country. We won't let you. It's that simple, folks. Make no mistake. Do I want Barack Obama to get back into office? No, I don't. And I'll tell you what. I don't know what to think right now, being a 25-year member of the Republican Party, and now watching the RNC just slap me right upside the face and look at me and say, what are you going to do about it? I know one thing, I'm having a real bad problem voting for a candidate from what I'm hearing about him. You draw the line. I just think Josh Tolley had an interview with Sheriff Mack. And God bless Sheriff Mack for everything he does. I don't want nobody to take this wrong. I literally adore Sheriff Mack. God, like I say, God bless him for everything he does. But he is so fearful that Barack Obama can destroy his country that he's willing to compromise his values over that. Folks, I can't do that. Don't ask me to compromise my moral values. I can't do that. I'm 52 years old. I've done my compromising of my moral values when I was young. You know what it costed me? It costed me 4 felony convictions, and righteously so. That's what compromising my moral values did when I was young. It caused me to get in trouble with the law. Where if I wouldn't have compromised my moral values, stood strong on what I needed to believe was right, I wouldn't have had to go through that. And that's what I'm going to see America fixing to go through again, is watching a bunch of people compromising their moral values in fear. In fear. Something Charles always spoke against. That's something I always admired about Charles Dyer. That's why me and him were so close and so understood the value of standing on moral principles and values. Those principles and values concerning this nation are our freedom and our constitutional way of life. And not letting smug politicians that are so narcissistic they wouldn't even know if they got their butts whooped. They could be in shackles, you still carrying them off, and they'd still be in denial of the fact they're in shackles being carried off. Trust me, folks. These people are smacking us upside the head every time we turn around and look at us with a grin on their face. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I say that we start showing them what we're going to do about it. And that means standing on our principles, our morals, our values, of what we know is right. No more of the lesser of the evil game can folks do this to us election after election, and they always get the results they want. I watched a movie called Clash of the Titans, the new remake. And one of the scenes in that movie that were so compelling to me is when, well, the old man in the fishing boat says, you know, there has to come a time where somebody stands up and said, this is enough. This is enough. We're not going to do it anymore, despite what the consequences will be. That's what our founders did, folks. They stood on the moral principles that they knew was right, and they told the king, you want to try to take our weapons? Guess what? We would rather die than quibble at the scraps that fall off your table anymore. You will not make us kneel. We'll die standing on our feet for knowing that we're going to stand for something that's better than what you're giving us, something we know that we should have as human beings, and that's called rights and a free nation. And folks, they stood on those principles well. And they beat the largest army in the world, the largest, most technological army there was. The British Army was the bomb at the time, folks. It was the top dog of its kind. And it was said that it could not be defeated. And a bunch of people rose up on moral values and convictions. It wasn't nothing but farmers and shoppers and just plain people like we are. And they won a nation standing on that. This can be done again. Let me tell you something. My word to Barack Obama is, Mister, you will never destroy my nation, because there's going to be people just like me, and we ain't going to let you. And that's the same way with Mr. Romney or anybody else that gets into that White House, folks, or in Congress or what have you. We got to start showing them that narcissism ain't playing no more. There's going to be consequences behind their actions. We'll be peaceful and we'll be legal along the way, best we can. Don't push us into the corner to where we have to change. Push us into that corner, face what the King of England faced in 1776. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Thank you.
That was fantastic, Rick. Thank you.
I sure hope, people are paying attention to this. I hear, how people don't want to listen to other people. They want to hear me. Well, it ain't just about me. It partially is, but not as much as everybody'd like to make it out to be. I'm just a voice. Yeah, I know a lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of it I can't talk about. But the heart of it, the crux of it, the realism of it is in exactly what Rick just said. You have in our population probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% who are aware at all. Some of them a lot more than others. Outside of that, you got 90%. Well, the way things have been bumping around, a lot of people are waking up. So we went from that 10%, maybe 20, 25% at the most. What's 1/4 of 300? Everybody think about that real quick. Come on, answer. Yeah. We need about 60 million people to pay attention to two basic things. everybody asks questions, and everybody thinks it's cool. And everybody says, oh, patriotism, yeah, I've heard about that. They don't think they're much involved, and a lot of them ain't. And I can understand that. After learning how to train fleas, I understand very well. You take the fleas and you put them in a jar. Now, fleas can jump about 2.5, 3 feet straight up in the air. You put the lid on the jar and then you shake the jar. And right at first, you're going to hear what sounds like popcorn. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. That's them dummies who still think they can jump 2 feet even though they got a lid. Eventually, over a period of time, I mean, you keep feeding the fleas and taking care of them, a little water here and there, that sort of thing. And over a period of time, you get generation after generation. And it takes about 2 generations in a jug of fleas to train them not to jump any higher than just under the lid so they don't bump their head. That's called a trained flea. This is also what mainstream media, the cabal, bad guys, whatever you want to call them, have been doing to us for several hundred years. Now, this started several thousand years before that. A little bit here, a little bit there, new ideas. People agree on it, and it continues. The reason it continues is too easy. You get power, you get money, and you can be happy with all that. Oh, yeah. You drive by somebody's mansion and you go, man, I sure would like to live there. And I'm thinking, I wonder how in the heck I'm going to pay for something like that on what I make. Well, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want everybody to think about this. And I hope there's a lot of people out there that think about our current office holder, Obama. And I want you to consider this. A lot of people know that there is what's called a write-down on loans. There's what's called absolute amounts, and things above that is fluff, a little bit of profit or whatever. In some cases, it's extraordinary. It depends on how much money you spend. I got one question, and I've mentioned this before. If you know of a local official who's living way beyond their means, then they need to be checked out. Well, I'm going to give you a major official. He's called President Barack Obama. The presidential salary is $250 a year. I'm going to ask you a simple question. I understand he's been making plans, taking care of business, getting ready to move to Hawaii. And that's all well and good. He apparently thinks he's done. And I have told you on a couple of different occasions that some of these people that watch things and get the real numbers state that Barack is like 15 points behind. Now, I ain't going to say that Romney's any better because I don't think he is. And some of the things I know about him, I wouldn't trust the boy any further than I could throw him. And I ain't picking that slimy mother up. How does somebody that makes $250K some things afford to buy a mansion in Hawaii that's got a tag on it of $37 million? I would like to have everybody spread that like free beer. Question. He wouldn't tell you about his birth certificate because he's a friggin' liar. He is not legally allowed to be our president and knows this. This has been proven. It's been proven by a couple of people that had the guts to stand up. Now, remember, one person can make a difference. Think about that. Somebody that positively won't quit is a dangerous individual.
Can you excuse me for just a moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you to back up just a little bit, because the fun and games has begun, and when you were making the statement about the planned move to Hawaii, calls dropped, your voice blanked out, and everybody who was listening to the live blog talk, now my board didn't go down, but everybody that was listening to the live blog talk, the player stopped.
Yes, it went blank.
That sounds familiar.
Interesting,
so it's
huh?
back up and running now?
So say that again,
it appears to be running. So start back where you said it appears somebody's planning to move to Hawaii.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. It appears that there's been plans made for Obama to move to Hawaii. I don't know if he's paid for or made down payment or how it works, but $250K a year is not going to pay the mortgage on a $37 million mansion, which means that he's got other money somewhere. I have heard rumors of several different things. One is that there were sufficient kickbacks off of a combination of money deals that he's got enough in the bank that he could afford to buy a small country if he really wanted to. The other part was kickbacks on Solyndra loans. Ooh, yeah, that'd be a nice juicy one. See if you can verify that. And these are all rumors now, but I want you to think about it. Just think, $250K ain't going to cover the payment. You got $37 million. Well, that's $3.7 million a year just on the friggin' payment, and that's on a normal loan. $37 million ain't normal, and you can't work out deals for 50, 60-year mortgages. I don't think, at least not the last time I checked. So that's something everybody needs to be concerned about. I mean, these crooks, and it could be Obama, it could be anybody. These crooks are flaunting it in your face. It is not possible for somebody on the salary that they make to afford what they get. Yeah, I know. You get to play the stock market. If somebody had shown any kind of a inkling that there was a stock out there that was that good, that you in 4 years could make $37 million off of it, do you think that they were going to let the president get a hold of it? I'll tell you what, the bankers would have that thing sewed up and in their pocket and have guards around it. I guarantee you it would not happen. Now, that's just one incident. The other part of this is individuality. Each individual has certain capacities and capabilities. They all differ a little bit, some of them more than others. Now, it don't matter about religious belief. It don't matter about political belief. In case you don't know it, the same person owns both political parties, so it ain't going to really make a whole lot of difference. That person happens to be a money bag man for the cabal, the bad guys, the richy riches that tell everybody what they're going to eat and what they're going to wear. You've seen it on TV. Come on, don't tell me you didn't watch. What kind of beer you're going to drink? Yeah, I mean, they tell you everything if you watch it long enough. So your situation is that are you a trained flea? First of all, if it's me, I'd say strap on the crash helmet and see how hard that lid is. Or figure out to talk the Jolly Green Giant into unscrewing the lid so you can get out. This is the same kind of thing as a box. And thinking within a box is controlled. Now, a lot of people say, well, ain't you got no self-control? Yeah. Where is the self-control that's supposed to be coming from those that are supposed to be seeing to our well-being? The only well-being I've seen is extraordinarily expensive suits and shoes and whatever being packed around in limousines that nobody in their right mind would buy or try to afford. You think about that. How does an average representative all of a sudden become wealthy? It ain't possible, but it happens. Okay, so what you got is you have payment for votes. You have briberies. You have money laundering. You have cuts of deals that you didn't even know was going on. And believe me, when you go in there, and this is a fact. I checked it out. I checked with some people. Then you can too. When you go in there, you get a combination of cash and a briefing that you're to read. It's about 35, 40 pages long. When you get done with that, there's a phone number at the end. You call it, and they say, "Oh, we'll be right there." And these people that you've never seen before come in, and they have a little powwow with you, and they explain to you the facts of life. You have just given up everything that you are in exchange for the position you hold. Now, because you decided to do this, we have decided to take care of things. You're going to come out of this a wealthy person. That's one of the benefits. You don't have to worry about stuff. Things will be taken care of for you. But In return, we expect you to go along certain lines of certain things we request that you do, such as make sure this vote works this way, make sure that the impossible NDAA gets passed, Homeland Security does go through, etc. It don't get better, it gets worse. They've taken the lid off the finances. And, you know, banks are supposed to be banks. They're not supposed to be profit centers. They're supposed to be banks. There are certain operational procedures in the old days, and I'm talking about back in the 1800s, the beginning of the 1800s, that stipulated certain things about how business was to be conducted. Nobody paid attention to it, but the rules were there. And go look it up is what I'm suggesting. You best believe I am. I've been through all this stuff more than once, and it's astounding the amount of changes and the amount of gambling, the amount of fun and games. Now, they got fun and games in store for us. I've only touched on some of the stuff lightly because a lot of it right now is real sensitive. A lot of the information that's coming out to me is coming out in such a manner that, man, don't want to talk about that. Why not? What mess things up, get people in danger? Or if you mention that they come after you, I said, well, I don't care about that. Yeah, but there's about 500 other people that are in between you and where they're going to get to. Oh, and they got families, and some of them are good people. So I'm sitting here and wondering about all this. Been wondering about stuff for, I don't know, a couple of days now. Exactly what it is. What is it that we can do that will put it over the top? Well, yesterday in the morning, and I get up early sometimes. Sometimes I get up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I decided that I would start it, and I'm waiting on a response now. If I don't have a response by tonight, I'm going to start banging on some doors. I do that occasionally when something's important. And I'm going to get some kind of official thing from the officials to find out exactly what it is they're looking at, exactly what it is they want to see from the people. And I want this from the people that are the good guys. I've heard enough from the bad guys. They like to stay busy all the time making laws nobody can keep up with. You end up looking at things and you feel pretty frustrated real quick when you find out there's 5,000 of them and one of you. How many laws can they make? How many things can they do? And what kind of procedures and whatnot can they play with in the process? You know, it's extraordinary. You look at that and you go, can't fight City Hall. I see why now. What do you get? You know, a really good man can take on 8, 10 guys. You know, just in hand-to-hand type combat, and make a good accounting of yourself, maybe even win. But you start getting 20, 30, 40 of them, you got a problem. And you'll see it in the movies. I mean, you can watch these, you know, show-offs. Oh, I do a special kind of a kick, you know. And thing is, in reality, most people know, if you take a ball and put it and use it as what's called a sliding tether ball. This is something we used to do. People who thought they were all that, and they were an excellent absolute shot. You get about 300 feet from something, size of a basketball, and then you take that basketball, and not only does it move either left to right or right to left, but it bounces up and down the stuff into the process. Try and hit that. You throw it up, you know, at 300 yards, at 300 feet, you're talking, you know, using some kind of projectile. You can do it closer to that. Even at 50 or 60 feet, it's hard to throw a rock and hit it, as an example. It's also hard, if you ain't using a shotgun that covers a big area, to hit it with a gun. It's real hard to shoot that thing. Some people know how to do it. This is the difference between an amateur and a professional. Yet, even the professional has trouble with that. A lot of them have not been trained how to do certain things. Some of the people that we deal with that are supposed professionals have come up against that stack of 5,000 people against them, and they've decided that, well, do I want to fight this landslide, try to hold the rocks back, put my finger in the dike, or do I just want to go along with the show? And even the good ones, there's only very few that have made it. Ron Paul's one. I'll mention his name. In my opinion, they you know, keep putting the patches in, chew a lot of bubble gum, stick it in the holes, whatever you want to do kind of thing, to prevent the landslide, the extremely terrible and horrible condition if this country don't make it. Now, I've described some of this in apocalyptic terms. You know, that's like after World War III, they bombed everything up, blew it all away, and there's only a few of us left. Okay, I want you to think about this. Those of us whom they decide to keep are going to have to be pretty strong laborers. They're going to have to mind their manners, and they're going to have to be subservient at all times. These will be housed in storage containers that we call shipping containers. Well, they're going to be made into storage containers by putting a window in and a door on it, and throw a mattress on the floor, and that's where you live. This is a serious design. This ain't BS. This is not off the cuff. This is not imagination. That is the plan for large cities for temporary housing. I want you to think about this. And people have seen Syria, people have seen Beirut, Lebanon. What happens if it goes through our backyard? What's going to be left for you to hide in, hide under? Not much. Most of the stuff we got is made out of plastic or wallboard or something like that. There's very little structural capability left. If you take a look at the housing we got now, that's why storms take them out so easy. You build something pretty solid that's built correctly, and hurricanes, tornadoes, don't bother them. They get the windows dirty maybe, that's about it. And yeah, I built a few of them. That's how come I know about it. The fun and game starts when you understand that these re-education camps are two-leveled. One is for those that are going to keep, and they will educate you in what you're supposed to do. Primarily the hard way. Old-fashioned school of a board across the fingers if you don't act right. Smack upside the head if you ain't doing the way you're supposed to be doing. All the rules will be made with them. One single rule. And it's something everybody needs to think about because it's a four-letter word. And it carries the most nasty horror movies you can think of in the way of nightmares. It's called Obey. Now, there's an old sci-fi movie called They Live. And it's pretty interesting. And there are some of those capabilities in the movie that they're using today. What they're doing is it's called psychology. Psychology is the lid on that jar for the trained fleas. The idea that, boy, I can only be this level. No matter what else I do, I can only be this level. Why is that? Well, for some reason there ain't no jobs. I'm having to still live in the basement. I'm having to live with my parents. We're having to double up. Why is that? You think it's an accident? Just the whim of Mother Nature blowing through the banks? No. All of this is pre-planned. They are in a position right now, as I told you, UN Parliamentary Assembly for a world parliament so that they can govern us through a world government ministry. Now, I've been trying to tell people that the UN is a piece of something needs to be floated and that the people there need to be scattered back to their countries. I've tried to tell people that, you need to pay attention, and a lot of them ain't listening the way they need to. Now, I've been posting a lot of stuff on the internet lately, on the website, and Rick's letter that he read tonight is posted. Absolutely, it's posted. There's a lot of things in there everybody needs to pay attention to. Now, a lot of people have said they want to know who I am. Well, in short order, I'm getting ready to come out. Right out in public, regular old video, the whole 9 yards. But until I do, you all can wonder or whatever you want to feel like you want to do. I've seen some pretty funny photographs put together by Photoshop. The crux of it is this. they've audited the Fed, partially. They have the authorization comes from the military. I put it up on the website. NATO secretly authorizes Syrian attack. Well, I've already told you, RAF is on standby to go. That means they're ready. They got everything but the engine started on the aircraft. And you got NATO standing right there on standby, high alert status, ready to back them up. Now, I want everybody to think about where Syria is at and just exactly what kind of importance it holds to this country. Where is the strategic reasoning behind us fooling with that place? There isn't any. There's nothing they can do that will extraordinarily affect us a whole lot, one way or the other. The second part of it is that we haven't been called on to help, for one thing, except by the bad guys, the rebels. They call them bad guys now. My understanding was it started out a little different than that. That it started out to be a simple political protest. And the idiots that were in office decided to fight back. And the manner in which they decided to fight back was they got some greenies out there with a gun as their troops to protect them, and some dink pulled the trigger. Okay, well, after a couple of those happened, then other people made the same mistake and pulled the trigger. Well, in the process, people like you and me, regular old people going, hey, well, this ain't right, get shot. So what we need to look at is how is it that we might be able to counteract that. That goes into the efforts of each individual to sum it up, support locally in order to get the job done, in order to make a difference, in order to cause people to take a close look at somebody who suddenly has a campaign fund when they were having trouble making their house payments and paying the utilities not too long ago. Okay, so they're going to pay your utility, pay your way. If you can get into office, you really got it, huh? And then what do you owe them? Oh, yeah, you think about that real close. What do you owe that campaign contribution dude where they hand over $1 million? Oh, and Romney got illegal funds. Well, I hate to kind of mess things up for everybody, but the people that handed over the money were expats or dual citizens. And that sort of, then it's not illegal. Oh. So I can go over there with a bag man, get a couple of hefty dudes to carry the money, and we're in good shape. And that's about basically the size of it. So we got some things to fight against. I'm going to be working on a general direction in conjunction with some of the contacts I have as to which way to go about causing this thing to come out the right way. It's a pretty convoluted mess. We've got politicians, we've got two parties, we've got all kind of stuff going on. And over the next day or so, I'm going to see whether I can put together a post that will give everybody an idea. If you've not been to the website, I suggest you start visiting. There's a lot of information that's been coming out, basically tons of it. And some of these things are pretty awesome. Now, the military and other people that are patriots and in a position to take charge are doing so. That part's turning the corner. The part that is not turning the corner is the people. The reason it's not turning the corner is because things are getting worse, and they got less money to work with, and they can't afford to do that. And all of a sudden now, after they took the overtime last year, now they're looking at cutting me to 35 hours a week. I wonder if the benefits get cut too. What about my kids and my family? Yeah, how do I eat and all this sort of thing? I know these things are coming up. That is designed for two things. Number one, if you got to eat and the only person that can feed you is the government, that's where you're going to go. This is why you need to have food on hand. This is why you need to understand that having a little gold and silver wouldn't have been a bad idea, because it wasn't but about a month ago that it was pretty cheap compared to what it is now. All of a sudden, things are going up just like I said they would. Now, shortly here, you're going to see some differences. There's going to be some major changes. There are supposedly arrests going on, and I just mentioned that casually. Supposedly, some of them have already happened. I keep hearing rumors that others have taken place. I found out from another contact, outside of the one that gave me that information, that this was a little bit ahead of time. So we jumped the gun just a hair, but I'm looking forward to the laundry getting done, and I want to put this on spin cycle. I think we pretty much got the dirt out in the open. I think everybody knows about it that wants to. Those who don't want to, they're going to get a large charge, large awakening. So anyway, I would like to have Denise, if she can, put together a break for us, a couple of songs.
Okay, I can do that for you, Drake. And we have a bazillion questions. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to share. Are you still with me?
Yep.
Okay, I heard this click, which kind of frightened me.
I heard it too.
I'm getting paranoid.
I know. I heard it too, sweetie.
Oh, and I would like to tell our listeners, I understand the Blog Talk player is going up and down and up and down and up and down, and normally if you clean out your cache, reboot, and try to restart the player, it will restart. So I'm going to play something a little bit, I think, relaxing for everyone. And I hope you will enjoy this. Just as soon as I find it. Okay. All right, guys. We're going to take a couple minutes break, and we'll be back with rapid-fire questions. I just love that ending. Okay. We are back. Hope everybody had a nice break. Was able to get a break.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Drake, are you ready for lots and lots of questions?
Whip it on me.
Okay. It looks like we might have some pretty tough questions tonight, but we'll do our best. Okay. Let's see.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Everybody might want to do themselves a favor, and I know there's some people that ain't been here before and like that, but here's the deal. I've been asked the same sorts of questions over and over and over, and I've explained some of the things that are to take place, and I don't guarantee they happen tomorrow, although that would be nice. Some of those get very intricate. I'm going to start giving shorter answers, and you're going to have to use the Q&A, and you're going to have to use the archives, because some of this stuff's been covered in detail. I just thought I'd let you know beforehand. Go ahead, Denise.
Okay. This is basically a comment. Some of our listeners looked it up, Drake, and they said back in 1999, Bill Clinton raised the salary, and it went into effect in 2001. So the president actually makes $400,000 a year now. They got a cost of living increase, and they also.
That only explains $37 million. I'm sorry.
Right, and then too, they have pointed out they get a $50,000 additional annual expense account, a $100,000 non-taxable travel account, and a $19,000 entertainment account. And it was also brought up that Obama received a substantial multi-million-dollar award for his. Well, hold on, he got $50 to $100 million for the Nobel Peace Prize. So that could be where he pocketed the money. Anyway, okay.
Let's put it this way: Obama thinks he's being slick, him and his family. What they don't understand is that I have not only the name of the bank and banks, but also the account numbers. And if you don't start coming clean, they're going to start being published. Next.
Gotcha. Okay. Why is Drake talking about what they might do in FEMA camps? We thought that wasn't going to get to that.
Well, my goodness. You get all this excitement and then it all dies. This excitement needs to continue. It ain't easy. And everybody needs to be aware that it is a possibility if we lose this battle. Think about it. Go talk to somebody. Next.
Okay. Next one. Benjamin Fulford's video, he said that Barack Obama has stashed $11 billion in a Vatican bank. Might that be true?
That's only one of the accounts. Altogether, it comes to somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 billion, and it's been stolen from us. Next.
Okay, yeah, because the next question was, how would Barack amass that much money? What kind of job or stock investment would he have in order that would reap him that much money?
Okay, I'm going to elucidate to something here nobody knows, hasn't paid attention to, and doesn't realize or understand. Everybody thinks they know about finance. Well, guess what? We had a little bit of a whoop-de-doo in the markets, all of them. Happened in 2006 through 2008. Guess, and I want everybody to really think about this, where did that money come from that kept us going? I'll tell you to start looking at Follow the Money. I want you to look that one up. That's a real concise program in terms of defining and finding out where money went, where it goes to, okay? The next part of it is that in that report, you can contact the people that can share a program with you on your computer where you can analyze some things and actually get the answers. Now, number 3, if you follow the money, you're going to find out which organizations, first of all. Secondly, which branches of government. And thirdly, which portions of finance are guilty of the laundering of the funds that kept us going. Go from there.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Drake is covering the same old stuff again. What they are trying to do through the plan was going hot, I thought, and then the arrests were going to be made and currently were currently being made. Now, once again, it seems that these guys can break in, I guess, I'm not sure, raid places and arrest these. Lots of stalling. Why?
That's because you got a badge and a gun to deal with, and there's more of them than there are of you, basically. Okay. If you want to know about that sort of situation, you need to check out a little incident in Ruidoso, New Mexico, where the feds got turned down from enforcing what they thought was the thing to do at the time. The people in the area said no. In this case, they didn't have to fire at them. But there was a whole bunch of trees that suddenly grew gun barrels. And the feds decided it wasn't a good idea for their safety. They decided to go have lunch elsewhere. Next.
Okay. This is a question from Robert Barber. My question is, after our party, will the Department of Labor revamp workers' comp denial policies? Because many government workers repay COP monies received during time off at home with pain due to their injury in the workplace. Can you inquire, is this a bad thing?
That basically goes to the fine print in all insurance policies that they don't have to do anything they don't want to do and can do as they please if they decide to do so. You'll find each and every last credit card on the planet has the same stipulations that they can call the account due just for the fun of it at any time they feel like it. They can also change any of the agreements that you've agreed to. So what we're dealing with is corporate socialism. And socialism is a thing where you have laws that you don't have to follow. I know that most of the government is not following the laws. This comes under the sedition item that I have listed on the website. You people need to learn this. Next.
Okay. When it's all over, will Americans be able to get quality products from China?
We'll be able to get quality products from our own backyard. When this is all said and done, yes, there will be international trade, but it's not going to be as, quote, a one-sided, consumer-oriented, such as the trap that they put everyone in terms of the neon god we have made being in charge. You have to go and look at that, and you have to research what I just said in order to understand it, but it's not difficult once you get the gist of it. Next.
Okay. All right, this one's a little bit hard to read. Is the International Tribunal of Crimes of Church and State, ITCCS, that is supposed to convene September 15th, 2012, a real, is it real, and will they have any teeth? If so, whose?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've got an international criminal court now that doesn't seem to do much because nobody enforces it. We've got laws in this country that don't seem to be worth the paper they're written on. If I commit fraud, they put my butt in jail. But if it's a high mucky muck in, say, J.P. Morgan Chase or somewhere, they don't have to worry about it. This is called sedition. This is anti-constitutionalism, which is known as treason. And these are the things that need to be addressed by each and every one of us. Next.
Okay. All right. Tonight you are acting like it's possible, almost probable, that we will lose our freedom permanently, when before you've always said that we were going to win. Game over. They lose. What has changed? What about ascension? Is that gone as well?
No. And yes, we are winning. And yet we need to do more. It is not going to be an easy road. It is not a given that we are going to absolutely win. We are at the point of winning, but we're going to have to keep the pressure up. It's sort of like making sure you got an extra score on the scoreboard, making that last extra basket to make sure that you got enough breathing room that you don't absolutely have to put everything, a little bit of everything you are or got into the battle. However, at this point, putting everything we got into the battle is a good idea so that there is a full court press to the extent that these people decide to back up, back off, and stand down. Now, they are beginning to be stood down, and by that I'll give you a good example. Some of the good guys have taken over some of the things that used to be a given. One of those is Eric Holder's domain, known as the Justice Department. You'll notice that the sheriff's charges have been dropped. You'll notice that other things have changed. The CIA investigation for torture and murder has been done away with. The spinning of our wheels in terms of looking like we're doing something is a day that's past. Now we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts and critical mass of what's really been happening and who's to blame, and that they be adjudicated. Yeah, we're winning. Yes, the ascension's real, and what my job is to get information to people to an extent where they can go, wow, man, maybe I ought to do something to keep my family out of that re-education camp or FEMA camp or whatever you want to call that concentration camp idea that they've got for us. If we do not win this, expect it. If you don't want that, then we're going to have to rise up just a bit. And I don't mean take your gun out and go shooting people. I mean rise up in terms of get active, talk to people, find out what works and what don't when you talk to them and go from there. You ain't going to make the same mistake twice if you got any brains at all. Most people don't hit their finger with the hammer on purpose. So you go down the road making sure you don't do that, you should be fine. But that's the answer. Next.
Okay. This has been bugging me, Drake, since it happened. Does any one of you know why Obama ever got the Freedom Nobel Peace Prize so quick, especially after getting into office, or even why he received it at all? As far as I know, he never did a thing to deserve it.
It's called a rigged system. The people that really deserved an award like that didn't get it. The people that could have done the most real good with the funds generated from that award did not get it. The reason they did not get it is because it's a closed system. This is similar to what's called a union shop. If you're not a member of the union, you cannot work there. Well, I found out that is not the absolute case. There is no such thing as an absolutely closed shop. But you get benefits and protection and goody things from the system. This is what they want you to rely on. And the reason they do that is for a purpose of control. Well, you lose all your benefits. You can't eat if you ain't with us. Pretty simple. Next.
Okay. I'll forewarn everybody. I ordered out and when the Chihuahuas announce it, I'll have to mute out. So, Drake, if you'll just kind of like fill in when I have to answer the door. Okay. Drake, I've been following your information since I stumbled upon it by accident around the beginning of May, and I look forward to the transition. My question concerns border crossing. I have a plan to cross from Maine into New Brunswick to conduct a native ceremony in Nova Scotia, leaving Maine on the 10th of September and returning on the 15th. I have dual citizenship and a passport. I'm wondering if I may have any problem crossing and returning.
I don't think so. From what you described, you should be in good shape. Generally, unless we are in a lockdown situation, as I've described, people that want to go across the border shouldn't have too much trouble. The only problem area is going to be the southern border, southwest border. There will be spots along the Canadian border, but not many, that will be closed or watched very closely. So other than that, you should be okay.
Okay. Drake, you had said something about schooling, possibly 2 years of high school. Do you have an approximate idea of when that might be enforced, within a few years or maybe sooner?
I'd say within a year, maybe sooner than that. It depends upon two things. One, it depends upon the actual real education of the people involved, and it depends on whether or not the educational system comes under heavy control quicker than later. Next.
Okay, greetings, Drake. 2 questions for you. When we receive our freedom, I hear you mention 2-year associates in college following that. What are your thoughts on bringing back craftsman and artisan apprenticeships, as well as guilds for various trades?
Well, that's basically what I'm talking about in that change. You take a grade school kid, bring them up to high school level, run them into the higher learnings that you would find as a high school graduate. Now, in grade school, you got to have changes there too. It's been found that people with learning capabilities are all about equal upon their birth generally. Now, what that means is that it doesn't matter your social status or your heritage or any of that. What matters is that a young mind, when taught that it has no limitation, can also achieve just about anything. So therefore, the younger you start, the better. By the time a person's in 8th grade, they should have already been through all of the mathematical procedures found in high school so that they have some familiarity with it. Now, by that I mean you're introduced to calculus and things of this nature. Mm-hmm. Then you have more intensive courses in high school for the 2 years you're there, a combination of government, credit, and I mean this literally, classes they haven't taught before. By that time, you would be ready, after the 2-year stint in high school, to go on to a collegiate level study course involving specific areas. That can be electronics. It could be craftsmanship of some sort. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you get a combination of enough experience and knowledge to be able to be functional in the area that you're in. This will go along to your personality, your life experience, your talents, your capabilities. And you fit into a general direction from that in terms of a technical ideology. That can be carpentry. I mean, it can be farming. There's as many areas as there are graduate degrees. So, but at the end of the that time period, you then have a marketable skill. This is where we've got a problem. Marketable skill. A liberal arts degree or a liberal arts ideology does not necessarily give you a marketable skill unless you are extraordinarily talented in the area of the liberal arts that you've chosen. Okay. In other words, you have to be an award-winning artist in whatever field that might be in order to make that degree really work for you. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay, question number 2. You mentioned Chinese and Russian troops engaged in our liberation. This mirrors the intel given by the infamous time traveler John Titor or Titor. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Some of what he said was okay, but the problem is that future events, specifically dealing with time, are not written in stone. What that means is you have variables. In other words, somebody wants to predict how you're going to act, and that's all well and good until you decide to change that just a little bit. When you see a runner take off in football, you'll note the people that really have a talent for running always seems to find the 5 or 6 yards, always seems to find the hole in the defense, or the idea that a defense is going to do a specific thing, and they avoid that specific thing. And they make the touchdown, they make the 50-yard run, this sort of thing. This is the idea that an individual with talent can also exercise in terms of what they do.
Okay. All right, next question is, how has the Venezuelan gold been repatriated to Venezuela by the Federal Reserve?
I don't think the Federal Reserve's given up anything.
Okay.
That's I mean,
Drake.
They're too hungry for everything, so I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't think anything's been distributed anywhere. Drake, when you put out the list earlier this week of arrests to be made, you made the statement that it would be 1 per day. Why not arrest them all in one day?
That's a good question. Maybe you ought to call up the CIA and ask them what their problem is.
Okay. Hello, Drake. I did my research to find out if the Venus Project is part of the coming changes and came up with nothing. I communicated with people involved in the Venus Project, and they don't even know that you exist. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the Venus Project and at least give us more to go on that or where we could find it?
Yeah, I would put it into your search engine. First of all, there are some archives and records. The Venus Project it was not intended to be an ongoing project, for one thing. Number two, over a period of time, people get frustrated and they just give up. You'll find a lot of abandoned websites and blogs and things of this nature where that is the case. This is the problem with initiating a project, no matter what its name, and coming out with the fruition of it at the right time. The timing is sometimes critical to the capability of the individual to continue pumping. And the other part of it is and a good example of this is Project Avalon. It used to be top of the line. It used to have all of its ducks in a row, and everything was so extraordinary that people just ate it up. Then all of a sudden some things started changing, and it wasn't quite what it was before, and it hasn't been right or hasn't had its stuff together, so to speak, since. You have to understand that some of the information that has been garnered for a lot of these sorts of things does not come from your standard informational type sources. It comes from a complex of mechanical viewing, as well as psychic viewing, as well as seeing. Remote viewing is part of it. And that's all well and good, except that most people understand that you can predict certain things within a generality. The problem comes in when you get specific. If you need to understand that, look at the predictions that have been made by certain great seers, and I'm not going to name names, just pick any of them, and find out how many of them were exact and how much detail was involved. You'll find that it's very difficult to take the image you have in a dream and write it down. That's one of the biggest translation problems going, because you get an image or you get a feeling about something, or you'll see something and you can't describe it. You cannot really write it down. You wish you could, but the words just don't come because they don't fit. It's a different level, different type of communication. When you lose things in translation, then you end up starting to have problems. Go from there.
Okay. All right, Drake, in lieu of last night's program with Richard Gilbert, are you still supporting Romney over Obama? It appears, as I have always felt, that neither of these men is fit to be president of this fine country. I still have my Ron Paul sign up in my yard and wear my Ron Paul hat. Let's get her done, Drake.
I think I would take the mainstream news media personality that was on mainstream media being interviewed by a host of another affiliated outlet or network, who stated quite clearly, I would rather vote for an empty juice can than President Obama. And those are my sentiments. If Romney gets in, it should be at least better than what we got now. I would prefer having Ron Paul in there, or Jesse Ventura, or Judge Napolitano, or somebody that I really know has the class and quality necessary to do the job. But we'll have to wait and see. Next.
Okay. Is it possible to try the cabals in a military court system with military judges or an international court?
I think I'd rather take them out to a rifle range and see if they can outrun a speeding bullet. Next question.
Okay, yeah, because their thinking was that possibly we could because they had stepped into international crime. Okay. All right, next question is, Drake, could you please tell us what and when the asteroid, as you have talked about, will pass close to the Earth, and will that, in fact, still update our awareness? And is this the one that will cause a high-pitched ringing in our ears?
Pretty much yes to all of the above. The basic time frame is within the next 3 weeks, give or take. Okay. At last I heard it was already in the solar system and moving fairly quickly, so it could be here pretty soon. As far as giving the details out as to everything that is possible, I think you pretty much covered it. There's a few others in there. Where glasses break and things like this, which I'm not so sure about because I've heard stories that this is supposed to be beneficial. And so I'll just leave it at that. Next. Okay.
I'm not sure if this one's been answered before. My question is, have you heard of Erasmus of America and the Confederate government that he talks about? And if so, is he someone to be taken seriously?
Yes, to an extent, and I've been in contact with the Confederate government of the United States, and basically they're on the same tune that we are in terms of looking at it as a true, real freedom from all of the gobbledygook we've been putting up with. Next.
Okay. Okay, Drake, you say horse hockey a lot. I know what the word refers to. Where and what did the original derivation of the meaning for the phrase come from? Do you know?
Yes, I do. If you take a frozen road apple and play hockey with it, you got it. Next.
Okay. Who are the Patal, and have any of our ET contacts told you anything about them?
Yes, and I know who they are, and I know what they do, and I am familiar with some of the history of it, and I can practice with the best of them, and if you really want to know, you're going to have fun trying to look that one up because it's not something that is generally written. It's more of a science where you would consult someone such as a shaman for answers as to certain things, and you would get that answer, and it would apply at the time to the individual given. It's very similar to the oracle in the Matrix, telling a person exactly what they need to hear.
Okay. All right. Just wondering if there is any new information or developments regarding ET influences. Is disclosure still expected before the end of this year?
That's what they're looking at, and yeah, there's been a bunch of developments, but I'm not allowed to really talk about them a lot. There's a whole bunch of things in progress that are pretty nice, and it'll get better as we go. Next.
Okay. All right. From Jermaine Chavez, you said on the last radio broadcast that you were in contact with the Andromedan Council, Tolek. What about Alex Collier? Are you in contact with him?
Yes, but very minorly. And Tolek and I are on speaking terms at the very least. We have contact as needs. The thing about the situation in terms of ETs is that the councils have been backed off because the troops that are in the field have a better feel for what's needed at the time, and it takes these councils too long to make a decision. It's just like any kind of bureaucracy. When you get to a certain size, the size outweighs its usefulness. So they're looking at changing some things, and in terms of administratively or chain of command, however you want to look at that, in order to better fit what's actually happening. Some of the calls made to take certain actions have to be made in within minutes, not days or hours. To give you a good example of that, when you need the police, they're only minutes away. Next.
Okay. Hey, Drake, I live in Utah, and I'm trying to wake up these Mormons out here. My question is, how deep does the Mormon Church have its hands in all the tyranny? Are they as bad as the Catholic Church?
The Mormon Church is kind of a little different than most of them. They're more standalone. Part of that is that they have artifacts and things that deal with the capability of seeing into future events, where a lot of the other churches do not. And this gives them a consummate advantage if they decide to so use it. The problem with the Mormon Church is that the hierarchy of inside structure and people who have the say, so to speak, as to what's done is such that an argument could last for years. They've had one item that I know of that's been on the table for 10 years at least, and they're still arguing about it. So go figure. Next. Okay.
Dear Drake and Denise, why is it that Bernanke wants to keep printing money for the crooks? I thought he was fired and arrested. Why is it that it is taking too long to arrest these crooks? They are going to keep stealing the money if the military doesn't take action.
Why don't we take action along with it? If everybody went out in the street right now, let's pull a high noon on them. Let's everybody go out in the street and go down to City Hall and demand answers. What are they going to do with the whole population of a city? Not much. Now you understand where the one individual taking an action, joined by another, and eventually it snowballs, and eventually you get a good-sized crowd, and the good-sized crowd goes up and goes, knock, knock. Hello, Mr. Mayor, hate to interrupt your time for beans, but guess what? We got some demands that we need to find out what the problem is, how come you're doing this, and where and who's stealing the money. And that's how it works. Next.
Okay. Very dear Drake, regarding Russia as an ally to help eminently us, how does one balance that with Russia's supplying of helicopters and arms to the Syrian dictator so that he can more easily kill more thousands of his people?
Well, that's a good question. You might want to check and see whether or not the people he's fighting against are the general population. You might want to check and see whether or not the reported nasties that went on in terms of protests in Russia were against its citizens or against people who decided they were going to agitate and show up and were paid to do so. There is a big difference between honest rebellion and mercenaries. There's a big difference between what the correct take on something is and what you hear. If you actually go there, it might be a totally different situation, which I have seen reports that it is. So don't believe the mainstream media nearly as much as you do. You need to actually get the newspapers from these places. You need to actually get to the people that want to broadcast some video they've got and find out what the real true answers are. If you do not go past the surface, you're never going to know what's in the water, and that's one of the major things. Then to go along with it, those turkeys will put a stick in the bottom and stir up the mud, so you have trouble seeing that anyway. You got to dig down deep, and I mean dig down deep. So
okay. Drake, do you know if there's any validation to the statement that when the Obamas took office, they were shown a graphic video of what would happen to their children if they did not do what the powers that be were wanting them to do? It is confusing. This whole thing is good, both good and bad. There are quite quite a few light workers that swear this man has wings and floats through the air, but his halo is dodging the clouds.
I hate to bust everybody's bubble, but yeah, you're showing videos, you're showing pictures, you're showing things about yourself that you didn't think were possible. When you acquiesce to putting yourself in a public position of being under the control of someone, everything changes generally. So you have to understand.
Dinner.
I might have to. Alma is not the good guy everybody thinks he is. Some of the people think he is. Is that your delivery?
It is. She muted herself, Drake. Go ahead and expound on that.
Well, I would suggest that everybody look at the man's voting record. I suggest that they look at the executive orders issued where he has created a legislation through executive order. This is strictly prohibited. There are enough counter forces to the good people in present elected positions to stop anyone from countermanding or changing the procedures that are being used against us at this point. I believe that's going to be rectified in the near future. Now, some of these things that have been taking place are things that most people will not have access to in terms of proof. You'll get all kinds of reports, but you won't find documents. I'm working on getting a combination of documentation along with videotape that will substantiate some of the things I've been talking about lately. I don't know how soon these will be forthcoming. It took me quite a while to get some of the documentation dealing with Neil Keenan. It took some time before these things were at a point in time where they could be publicly released. And everybody knows that if you're the quarterback, you don't tell the other team what your play is.
Greg, would you expound a little bit on Neil Keenan and the fact that he is not dead?
Well, yeah, I'll do that. I thought that was hilarious. I read that and I said, "What do you mean he's dead?" So I got on the computer and dialed up Mr. Keenan. I said, "Hey man, how you doing?" He says, "Oh, pretty terrible. I feel like shit." And I said, "Well, I know you're sick." But I said, "How you doing?" He says, "Well, all right. Why?" I said, "Well, I heard you's dead." And he said, "Well, I hadn't noticed that." He wasn't even home. That's number one. Number two, the sword wasn't at his house. I mean, you want to get ludicrous? That's about as much fun as I've seen in a long time. And I was joking with him a little bit when I was talking to him, and he had a pretty good laugh about it. But he thinks that it could be somebody, and I decided to say no. And he's been having some conflict with some individuals that would like to steal this money that we're working on releasing. And I said that's too cute. I mean, I'm gonna have to say, even though some people are stupid about things, even though they really do some squirrely stuff, there are certain limitations. I mean,
yeah, they were saying he got thrown over a balcony and everything.
Yeah, I asked him how he was doing after getting thrown out of his balcony, and he just busted up laughing. He says, "Do what?" And then he found out that Ben Fulford, a friend of both of ours, had posted that stuff on his website. I couldn't believe that he put it out for public consumption. And then the person he's been having trouble with, Keith Scott's phone number and name comes up in the middle of it. Now, this is all too convenient. Somebody's having all kind of fun laughing about this, and I don't know, to be honest with you, if it wasn't a joke played by somebody in the intelligence community, because they do have a sense of humor. They're not known for telling jokes, but every once in a while they get a good one going, and they can't resist, and out it comes. And I get the feeling that that's what this was, some sort of a semi-sick practical joke. Neil Keenan is live and well. I talk to him several times a day on average. We work together on a lot of things, and right now
we're all glad
fine.
to know it.
Right now everything's fine, and we're boogieing down the road. So
Got your food, Denise?
Yeah, thank you for stepping in for me, Grammy.
Oh, you're welcome, sweetie. I caught it immediately.
Thank you very much.
You just wait. Now she's going to have to fight the dogs over that sandwich.
Oh,
See,
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a reason that I'm here.
Absolutely. Okay, and excuse me, everyone. Drake, the next question is, Nancy Pelosi was arrested supposedly September 1st on Saturday, but was seen at the RNC, no, I think it was the Democratic convention on Monday the 3rd. Is the cabal possibly using a clone double or of her, or are things okay, or was she maybe bailed instead of jailed?
No, what they do is they prefer the charges, and you make bail, and then you go on about your business. And from what I heard, she made bail instantly. So whatever it was pocket change, and, go from there. Next.
Okay. Let's see. Drake, are they still supposedly conducting one arrest per day?
Well, now, that is something I was wondering about. I don't know if the holiday is figured into that or how that works, but it ain't been happening one a day, but from what I heard, there was another arrest. So, we'll see how it goes. Next.
Okay.
And you're not going to tell us who it was, right?
Oh.
I'm going to smack you.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. Drake, are you a spokesperson for anyone? Why do you sometimes sound unsure of things?
Well, I would say that if anybody's been in the conspiracy field as far as I have, as long as I have, they probably are unsure as to who they are sometimes, let alone how sure they might be as to their information. Some of the information I get is iffy, and sometimes I'm late in getting on these shows simply because I get information at the last minute corroborating something or saying something, that ain't quite the way it was, it looked like this. And so, I get a lot of excited people. I also get calls while I'm on the show sometimes. People call me up on the, oh, I heard what you just said, kind of thing. So, iffy, well, sometimes the iffiness is making sure that my choice of words does not endanger someone, that I don't give out any kind of hints as to who that particular leak might be. Believe me, there's some people that would definitely suffer considerably if they got caught doing what they're doing, especially with somebody that goes and puts it on the air like I do. So, go from there.
Okay. Drake, in your interview with one of your interviews with Alfred Weber, you said that you lived with the man who originally wrote the script that became the movie The Matrix. Reportedly, that script actually came from not a man, but a woman named Sophia Stewart. Can you clarify?
I'm not going to get into that mess. I know about it, and if the man I lived with wants to come forward with the additional information, I'll allow that. That's not a problem. We're not on good speaking terms, so I doubt that'll happen, but I do know that a man wrote it, and I do know that the script was supposedly borrowed, stolen, or whatever, and whether or not there was copies and other people are claiming this or that is questionable. What I'm looking at is the Matrix itself in terms of what it stipulates. I would love to see the script because if that person is what they say they are, then they have the rough scripts or rough drafts of the script. And I know what the original script says, and I'd be able to tell almost immediately whether or not it's correct. Next.
Okay. All right, Drake, I forgot to ask this. Drake spoke last week of the 8 arrests all coming up. It seems that they are all Democrats. What about the Republican crooks, most of them? I hope I am wrong, but I get the feeling that the right-wing Republican rhetoric is on the rise on our radio show. I am equally contemptuous of Democrats and Republicans, so I'm confused.
I wouldn't be confused. I just wouldn't put both parties in the same trash can, in my opinion. The controlled politics of either party comes out to the same thing. We lose. This is where independent parties should come in. I would love to see Ron Paul run as an independent. I understand it might take a little bit of legal finagling, but it's a good possibility that could be done in a timely enough manner to put that man in office. I would much rather, this is my personal opinion, have Ron Paul in there than either of the turkeys that are running now. Next.
Okay. Should people attend COBRA's conference? Is COBRA accurate or any kind of reliable?
COBRA puts the same thing into what he states as a lot of other ones. One of the things that's been told me is that he is a disinformation agent. Now, that's true to an extent because I've identified some things that are absolutely obtusely inaccurate. I've also identified a lot of the information that he has offered as being accurate. So he's doing a combinational deal, and I do not know which way he falls if he gets pushed on the fence. So everybody can take a guess until such time as he outs himself. Next.
Okay, I was astonished, and when Drake mentioned last week that Donald Trump was supposed to have delivered a shocking message at the RNC. Donald Trump, he's repulsive. Why would anyone put stock in what Donald Trump had to say?
Well, because it was a bit different message than what Clint Eastwood delivered, which was the speech. Now, they decided in terms of Trump's position and the manner in which they could reconfigure the message that Clint Eastwood was the better of the two. Donald Trump also wussed out on it. He didn't want to do it anyway. So there you go.
Okay. Can you tell us more about September 7th date that you had talked about? Is something going to happen? P.S. Drake, we love you.
September 7th is supposed to be some kind of a mystical time reference and frame, as well as possibly other things. Those other things that I'm mentioning are things that I know of that are in the works that are supposed to happen in that particular area. Whether this all happens on that particular time or not, take a guess. Next.
Steve Quayle states that a total of 15,000 foreign troops will be in New Mexico by November of 2012, and they are not friendly. Drake, is Steve Quayle correct, or are you?
Well, not friendly. The only unfriendlies I know of are the UN troops. And from what I understand, the Russian troops have been ordered not to engage civilians, which puts them on our side. They are to assist our military. Now, if Steve's got documentation showing otherwise, fine. If he needs for me to document this, I'll see what I can do. Next.
Okay. Scrolling up. Okay. Also, Steve. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the same question. Why do people worry about Obama's birth certificate if he is president of a corporation? If you're president of a corporation, what would it matter anyway? Please help us understand.
Well, that's because he's got the supposed legal privileges of a commander-in-chief of this country, meaning that he holds an office of president on both levels. They're both correct. Now, and the problem with that is that the corporation tells Mr. Obama what to do. So therefore, you got a problem because a corporation cannot govern, and it is primarily concerned with its survival and growth. This is why you have the outgrowth of government, for one, and why you have the problems in terms of things not going for the people, but more for the government. Next.
Okay. Drake, has Mitt Romney turned state's evidence?
I have heard that he's supplying information and other things, so I'm not sure where that's at, and I'd rather not get into it any further than that. Next.
Okay. Will the allegations against Romney's team supposedly mishandling of votes for Ron Paul be sufficient enough to eliminate Romney from the race? And if so, will this prevent national elections in November, or will these charges of election misconduct be possibly dismissed? If Romney is in severe trouble, who will be the Republican nominee?
That's a bunch of good questions. First of all, I'm not sure, and I haven't seen any evidence one way or the other that it was Romney that did this stuff. I would rather say that it probably is the corporate runners of the Republican National Committee, that the people that run the Republican National Committee are the ones that have been playing the fun and games, not necessarily Romney. So, take a guess. I haven't seen anything in writing that would stipulate on one way or the other. Next.
Okay. This is kind of a lengthy question. Drake, can you confirm or deny each of these health devices and if they would work, and which brands in particular? Okay, there's the
No. The health devices that I'm familiar with are not out as such into the market yet. And that includes each and every last foundation or company I know of. So there's several devices that do work. Some of those deal with energy. Some of those deal with biological propagations along with energy. Some of them readjust your biological energies in terms of transfer and things of this nature that will help you be healthy like you used to be when you was a kid, kind of thing. So that's what I'm familiar with, and I will not endorse brands on this show. Okay.
Well, one of the things the guy was questioning, and I will go ahead and send you the other stuff, but he asked about orgonite and the orgonite pendants, and I know people who make orgonite. Does it actually help you get your frequency back in line with that of Earth, causing benefits such as higher energy levels and less stress, etc.?
You'll probably feel some energy from such things. The problem is that you have to know how to realign your energy. If you've not been schooled as to how to do this, it's my considered opinion that you shouldn't go playing with stuff you don't understand. Next.
Okay, this one is a question for Minuteman. I am unsure of what to write to the Rutherford Institute regarding Charles Dyer, but I really feel the need to do so. If you have time, perhaps, for me and others who are in the same boat, a little short blurb on how maybe you could type up and share with us from Global Voice with the email addresses for the Rutherford Institute and other places, so we can simply copy and paste it to all of our email accounts. Can you do that for us, Rick? Oh, has Rick maybe dropped or maybe on mute? Okay, well, I will state for the record that we will get that information available on, caller Minuteman has dropped. He just dropped. I apologize. We will get that question to Rick. All righty, let's see. Now I've got to reopen my document. All right, Drake, on one of Drake's last calls, he mentioned that the Obamas have cashed in on 2 occasions their IQD. I am curious as to how this is confirmed to be. Then maybe this is how he could afford the home in Hawaii.
I doubt that he had that much on him, but it's a possibility. I've heard this on 2 or 3 different press reports. And the Obama family was not the only ones there. So, people can cash in early and give all the advantage to the bank if they want to. That's up to them. But my considered opinion is that holding on to it until such time as it RVs is probably the better idea. Next.
Okay. In my area of Wichita, Kansas, I heard on the news that they were going to start putting new meters in. The news is saying that these meters are to save us money. I was wondering if these might be those new smart meters that have been talked about, where the meters will actually keep track of whatever we are doing in our homes. I think that they are lying about this and saying that these meters are going to save us money, when in fact the men from the electric company can slip them in without protest. Do you know anything about this? And do you think that's what it is?
Well, it's a good question. The best way to answer that is to call them up and ask them if they're putting smart meters in. If they intend to put smart meters in, they have to have your personal consent in order to do so, because these things have proven to be dangerous. The other part of this is that you do not have to accept a smart meter, period. There are several websites that have information on that. Davy Kidd is one of them, and there are innumerable reports as to what these things are, what they do, and I wouldn't have one on my house, period. So you go from there.
Okay, yeah, because the next part of the question was, is there anything we can do about this to stop it from happening?
Yeah, you don't have to accept it.
Okay, that's good.
Can you ask for it to be removed if it's already on your house?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Drake, will you tell us if the military backs out on their plan that you have stated numerous times, and what will happen if they turn on us?
We'll get wiped out probably over a period of time. I don't think that's going to happen because their survival is the same as ours. You have to understand that there are quite a few people in the military. Therefore, those who are not needed are going to be sent to the mulcher. I don't think that they want to try to draw straws and see who goes on any particular day. I don't think that they're going to turn against us for the other reason that they want their reputation back. If they do not want to have the reputation that's equivalent to what the militias are, then I would suggest that they, get their stuff straight. Get everything in order, get strapped, and operate according to what is supposed to be done, whether you get a countermanding order or not. Next.
Okay. Okay, maybe I've missed something somewhere, but what was the point of the states filing for their sovereignty? Drake sounds as if there are no options whatsoever if Obama is reelected. I'm confused.
Well, yeah, there's options. The filing for the sovereignty was completed for two reasons. One, to give our freedom back to us, personal satisfaction, and the other part was to give the military civilian authority to take action as needed to remove a repressive government, as is stated in the Declaration of Independence. Next.
Okay. Scrolling again. Okay. Got to flip the page, Drake. Excuse me one moment. If the federal election is to proceed, as you now state, how can this happen legitimately unless the de facto corporate United States is dissolved? If this does not happen first, then isn't this just a continuation of the same illegitimate process that we've been trying to get rid of up until now?
I would say so. If you get rid of the two main candidates, who are you going to put in? Who are you going to look at? The first person that comes to mind in my mind is Ron Paul, or maybe a Jesse Ventura or Judge Napolitano. I don't know that the Democrats could put a candidate up that would be someone that would be able to make the promises that a lot of the Democratic Party has made to people who are poor, for instance. We're going to help you out. That hasn't happened. On the other hand, you've got the Republican business party, where you have extraordinarily rich people or wealthy people. Obama, according to donations from Republicans to Obama, that's a little, you want to see something neat, you go looking at that. They have not benefited as they were supposed to either. So, if he's willing to take all the funds away from the local clinic that helps everybody out, or something that gives you a little help at your utilities when you got to have it, and these true, I don't know what you'd call them, safety net kind of things that don't really cost that much. If he's willing to say that the federal government can't cut expenses somewhere else and wants to stick it to the people, where does that put him? Then you got people like Romney and his running mate coming along saying, well, we can righteously affect the budget. We can do away with da-da-da-da-da. And yet you look at the number of people affected without remedy for that effect, and it comes out to or equates to a very similar deal. It's just a different flavor of Kool-Aid. You're still drinking the Kool-Aid, and this is the problem. People need to understand that the government is not what it's supposed to have been. It ain't even close. If it were for the people, we wouldn't have the economic and social problems we have right now. Just that simple. But he goes about saying, "Whoa, the blacks have got to be their own thing, and the Latinos got to be their own thing, and the white people have got to be their own thing. And the white people probably did it too, or whatever excuse you can come up with. That's about as ridiculous as it gets. When I get stuck, I bleed red, just like most people. So, you know, we have a common enemy, both poor and rich and in between, and that common enemy is those who would absolutely rule us under absolute rulership. That's the problem we need to take care of. Part of it is the banking system. Part of it is the corporate government. Part of it is the individuals involved. There's a lot of facets to it, so it's going to take a while to fix it. Next.
Okay. If the federal election is to proceed as you now, okay, that's the one I just asked. I'm sorry. You say the shift over will be done in stages. Will the major announcements informing the general public what's happening and why and how to adjust or behave also be in stages?
Sort of, but not exactly. If there was to be a military coup of the government right now, as somebody has said it was, what you would have a military acting under civilian authority. When they do that, they make sure that the crooks are taken into custody, so you won't have pretty much the top level of government wouldn't be there. Then the second part comes along where they are required to operate according to the Constitution, which stipulates that if a military force is used to extricate the people from a problem such as a repressive government, the military then is to appoint temporary officers in only critical positions. I want to make that clear, only critical positions and only for a temporary period of time. If that person finishes the limited duties of their office before the time period's up, they can go home, or you can hold elections, or however you might see needs best fit what we are going to be looking at the time. That's basically it. Next.
When all the banks shut down and food delivery is interrupted, will the postal delivery services also cease to operate?
I don't know. It depends on how many people decide to stay home. Next.
How will the Canadian stock market be affected? I think that was asked last week.
Well, it doesn't matter. All of your paper commodity values, and it don't matter if it's a future share on commodities, it don't matter if it's a stock, bond, it doesn't matter. If you have something that says it's worth X amount and it's a piece of paper, I'm going to suggest that you get some cash in your fist and or junk silver, real silver, or gold. Get something of intrinsic value you can hold in your hand. Take some of that cash that you have and buy some things that will make sure that you can be basically independent, growing your own food and this sort of thing. If you don't, you're liable to have problems. It's possible. Next.
Okay. Let's see. If Soros owns the Spanish company that will be counting the votes, how can we have a legitimate election?
Well, we don't let them turkeys count the votes. We put George Soros in jail where he belongs, for one thing, and you get some grandmas in there that don't take no for an answer, and you let them tally the votes. You get people that are honest, period. And you have paper ballots, not electronic. It's real simple. I've expressed that before. Paper ballots only. Every election, no matter how minor, it don't matter if there's only 25 people involved, paper ballots, period. You keep the ballots for a while after the election, so if somebody has a question, you can answer it. You know, well, here he is, and A takeoff on a paper ballot is called a CHAD, or a CHAD sheet. This is the same thing as what you used to have with the old IBM card computer system, where it punched all on a card to give you the information. Mm-hmm. They knew in advance how to attack, how to subjugate, and how to control that particular problem. What happened was, and this is something everybody needs to pay attention to, sit up and listen, this is important. You need to understand just one simple thing. the Supreme Court stepped in it, and they did not have and do not have the authority to decide a general election, period. If it is so questionable that it cannot be decided, vote again. And I hope the Supreme Court, somebody out there gets the word to those turkeys. That's an act of treason, you dinks. You're supposed to know better. Next.
Okay, here's a toughie. Drake, Sheriff Mack has endorsed Romney, and Drake, you are saying it's okay as long as we get Obama out. Drake, supporting Romney seems to be the same harebrained mentality, be of the same harebrained mentality. A Romney win would get Obama out. Well, so what? Because anyone knows both political parties are one side of the same corporate coin. Endorsing the machine would seem just plain stupid. What do you say?
I agree, except that I would rather have Romney in there than Obama any day of the week. We can always take Romney and put him in jail and replace him with somebody else. If his vice president acts like an idiot, you do the same with him until you run out of idiots. Eventually, you'll find that these people will go away and leave you alone if you keep attaching them to heavy items with a chain. It's real simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that if you refuse to accept something, you can change it. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Down in South America, somebody got mad, and they kept messing with the farmers. And the farmers got real PO'd. Everybody got their pitchfork and whatever they had, and they went down and they changed the government the hard way. They beat them out of office, so to speak. They put a new government in. These guys are all supposed to be righteous, and I promise a chicken in every pot, and everything's going to be roses, and you're going to have a good life. And okay, guess what? That government turned out to be just as horse hockey as the first one. Guess what? These people weren't going to give up that easy. They come down and did it again. They beat them out of office. They put another government in. This one is working a lot better than the other two ever thought about. So, how many times a day? I don't know. But until there are no more of these crooks, idiots, communist, ridiculous people running around who think they can control everything, until we're out of those, and things aren't going to change real quick. But you can at least try and get something better. And I'm going to tell you right now, Romney's a lot better than what we got. That's first. Number two, I'd rather not see Romney in there at all. I'd rather see Ron Paul. I think he's the better of the three. Third, if Ron Paul isn't interested, maybe somebody else like Jesse Ventura, somebody that knows how to do and has done the job effectively, could do the same job that they did on a state level, say, for instance, on a federal level. It's real simple. And so, there.
All right. What is the plan for the Ireland Republic, if any?
I don't know. I don't live there. My understanding is that they're looking at freedom, and I'm in touch with some people that are involved in that, and I would love to see them be able to be a free country as we are supposed to be. Next. Okay.
Many are asking, is Nancy Pelosi possibly cloned? Or do politicians, and I've heard this too this week, politicians frequently have doubles that make public appearances on their behalf?
Oh, boy. What a nice one this is. This is juicy. I would suggest that if they can't do any better than that, if it's a replacement, they need to go back and try another one. What they got sure ain't cutting it. Next.
Okay. Drake, you presently live in you presently live in the woods. You can only have one telephone line in and out of your home. It seems very logical that your line and internet and cell phone could very easily be tapped. Is that true?
Yeah, I even know some of the names of some of the turkeys that listen in. Next.
Hi, guys. Okay.
Hey, look, these guys listen to the show. Some of them even call in. I mean, they know who I am. They know who you are. They know where we live. The whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. If they were going to do something, they would have done it already. Next.
Okay. Let's see. My question is wait a minute. That's the same question. Have we identified any of the sources of the information that Nancy Pelosi had been arrested? Okay, we already got that one. Okay.
Yes, I have, and I'm working on it to get the validation in terms of documents or at least a video or a statement. Next.
Okay. Ask Drake if I can get a real live action figure G.I. Joe of Drake for Christmas.
I hope. I don't think I can stand it.
I want one too.
Oh, God.
And we had a request to play the song Ghostbusters. Okay, let's see if I've got anything more in the Skype window here. Okay, does Drake know of the book? Okay, I'm going to butcher this one. OASPHE, the Cosman Bible. If so, what are your thoughts?
Well, right now we got a whole bunch of listeners that sending me a whole bunch of information, and I've read a whole bunch of books. I have gotten into some of the Cosman stuff, and I would suggest everybody be cautious about things that seem to be okay when they may not go along with what is real. Now, the trouble with real is that when you get into spiritual entities, they don't respect our idea of reality. They walk through walls and doors and stuff, I think, just to confuse us or screw up the cat's mind. Anyway, what you got to understand is that there is a lot of things going on different levels that people cannot grasp. They can't get their head around the idea of ETs or angels. They can't get their head around the idea that there may be an entity out there that we call God that is actually the guy that flipped the switch and started it all. There are a lot of people who refuse to believe that because things wouldn't be the way they are if there was such a benevolent entity. So you're getting into a combination of reality and philosophical questioning that cannot be definitively answered. It's a continual argument, yay, nay, go, or stay. And that's basically what the problem with all of that is. When we get the actual full list of how things really are, this will be a worldwide event. It won't be concentrated here or there or anywhere in particular necessarily. And you need to be aware that this is going to happen. And you need to get your head around the idea that we might not be alone. As a certain show said, the answer's out there. Next.
Okay. Also, that person says, I hear Mr. Drake's cough, and she says, MulleinT, M-U-L-L-E-I-N-T, will clear it. I'm a smoker, too. Okay.
The problem with my cough is that I got gassed when I was in Vietnam by a stuff called blood gas. I lucked out. Several of my friends didn't. A couple of which made it for a while in the hospital. I was the only one that survived mostly untouched, but it cauterized portions of my lungs, so they got burnt on a chemical basis or level that cannot be repaired, supposedly. I'm waiting on ET and me to hook up so that I can get this thing fixed. When you don't hear me talk more, then you'll know that ET is not only real, but I have been communing with the wild ones in the sky. Next.
Okay, send them my way, too, would you, Drake?
Please.
Okay, Drake, I'm 52 years old, and I know our U.S. government has been overthrowing other governments all over the world all of my life. Seems government fixing should be second nature for the U.S. military. So why is the military having such a problem with returning their own country to its own rightful standing of uncorrupted government, personnel, and the Constitution that the military took their oaths to protect?
Well, we got a problem with several different things, and you're going to find out, everybody's going to find out publicly in not the too distant future as to what the last little piece of the puzzle has been for a while. We'll see exactly whether or not everybody can stand it, among other things. And it's coming soon to a neighborhood near you, so get ready. Next.
Okay. Can Drake tell us more about the southern borders? What's up with the free energy device?
I'm not sure what the southern borders got to do with the free energy device, but...
I think it might be just two questions.
Okay, well, what's up with the southern border is that things have been changing down there. If anybody's been to Mexico lately, they can see some of it. And I'll leave that just like it is. As far as free energy devices, they're not really difficult to build. I've got designs for 3 of them sitting on the floor over here. When I slow down with some of this radio stuff, I intend to build one. Next.
Okay. Why isn't the French Foreign Legion being used in this great movement? They fight to the last man.
They probably haven't been asked. Next.
Okay. You said there were only a couple of things left that have to be done. Has that happened yet? Is it done? You had said that on the 29th of August.
We're getting closer every minute. A couple of the things, one of the main things is in process right now, in progress, etc. Another thing is just a little bit in the future, not too far, and we'll see what happens when we flip them switches. Next.
Okay. Can you really tell us when the listed names of the mass arrests of high-level people, such as the Obamas, the Bidens, Reid, etc., when they will actually start?
Well, we got one rumor now that they have. I put a list up, and that list is supposedly righteous, and accordingly, one of the other people on that list got arrested recently, and we'll have to wait and see. I want validation.
Everybody think positive.
Huh?
I said everybody think positive.
Yeah, and hope that the nasties on there get to figure out how it feels when they get put on spin cycle. Next.
Okay, will the military attack the Syrians or the cabal first?
We got to be free before we can actually act as an international entity in any kind of a real basis at all, in my opinion. We've already stopped one attack, and hopefully we'll continue to be able to do so. A lot of people took the simple information that was given that we were looking to go into, that NATO was looking to go into Syria, and mess that up. And so when that was advertised, a lot of people caught wind of it and said, "Oh, no, you don't." And so it's been delayed at the very least. I'm hoping that it can be stopped totally because it's unnecessary. The killings and stuff, in terms of war-like problems, civil unrest, and things of this nature, are all going to be attended to in one form or another. So, and I'm not sure exactly how far that'll go or to what extent there'll be, you will comply. You either shake hands or I chop both your arms off. I don't know what it's going to be. I do not know what the enforcement's going to be. I do not know a lot of the things yet. I've been told some possibilities, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. Does the CIA back Al-Qaeda in Syria?
Absolutely.
Okay. Will the president's cabinet be dissolved?
I don't see the need for certain portions of our government anyway, and that would be one of them in my book, so I would hope so. Next.
All right. Is Drake still working with Alfred Weber III?
Yes, I am. It's hit and miss and kind of piecemeal right now because I'm extremely busy, but yes, we're working together.
Okay. Question for Drake. I'm having trouble accessing the what to do section on your website. Any advice on surviving civil unrest? Oh, any advice on surviving civil unrest for us city people?
Yeah, just be ready to catch a bus and get out of there. Next.
Go out to the country, huh?
Yeah, go visit us.
Take a vacation. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. We'll loan it out.
Pitch a tent, huh? Okay. The question about the Patal, P-A-T-A-L-L, is what Alex Collier talks about, and it says that you might have given the wrong answer, Drake. The Patal, as I understand it, has souls from the 11th destiny that came into the concept of time to experience, so they carved out third density to experience physicality. That is the Patal I was asking about.
I understand what you're asking about, and if you want to look at the basis of the Hindu source, you'll find a lot of the answers contrary in the Hindu source to what is stated in the Patal. Now, what you have to understand is that a lot of people got a hold of things in ancient times, didn't understand what they were looking at, and screwed it up. That is the case with the Patal. The Patal is a combination of things that you'll only find in Hinduism. Next.
Okay. If we don't take out the cabal, is a military coup still a possibility as a temporary solution so that we don't all end up in FEMA camps?
I would hope so, and I would say so. They have indicated that to me, and I think that if they pull a military coup, that the cabal then would be the next target. I would suggest that both are going to happen similarly in terms of time. I'm hoping that we don't have to take the civilian population and go attack them. I'm not going to leave that out of the question. And the reason I'm not is that if we cannot get performance from our government, I personally would rather die with my gun in my hand than put up with it. Next.
Okay. All right. An individual by the name of Breaking the Silence on the website Removing the Shackles at blogspot.com has said that the arrests have been waiting on a very important event that is supposed to take place, an event that the cabal have gone to great lengths to stop. Once that event takes place, and it is imminent, the arrest will also happen. Would Drake know what this event might be?
Yep, and I ain't saying what it is. Next.
Aww. Okay, everybody breathe. We're all holding our breath.
I love doing that. I do that to Grammy J regularly, and she just loves it.
Are you going to send out inhalers,
I'm coming
Drake?
after you with a broom. I'm so fed up with it.
Yeah, we're going to have to send out inhalers for everybody.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Okay, let's put it this way. I know exactly what it is. I know what the military has been waiting on. I was told this in confidential terms on the condition that I didn't say nothing. If I was to violate that trust, I would not get any more information of any kind from anybody, period. So, there is a secret government that refuses to allow any intelligence or intel, as it's called, in terms of what's really going on, to get to the people at all, so that we are dumbed down in terms of what we know. Okay, what we're doing is breaking the ice in terms of that and making the intel available. The secret operations, and I mean these are top secret things. These are not some little podunk whatever, but when you involve a grouping of nations that intend to take a specific action in a certain area, and you out the information that they're getting ready to do that action, you then are actually causing people to have a say about what goes on. This is something they absolutely, positively abhor. They can't stand it. They don't like it. It pains them to think about it, and we're doing it anyway. So yeah, we're poking them with the broomstick handle, okay? And you know, everybody needs to enjoy that little, at least that little poke. Pretty soon.
Thank you for what you did say.
Well, what we're getting ready to do pretty soon is get the other end of the broom, the one with all the bristly things, all wet, and everybody gets to get one good swing at a politician. Next. All
right. Drake, is the third week of October going to be a significant time in our movement?
Every day of the week is a significant time in our movement, but yeah, that's one of them. And you know, we're gonna have to wait and kind of grit your teeth and hope it don't bump too hard when it lands. Next.
Okay, so everybody be the third week of October. Okay, week before Halloween. All right. Will we not have markets for food and supplies?
Well, I would think so. There's always somebody got something to sell, and there's always somebody wants to buy it. The problem comes up as to having the fuel if it's not delivered to get it there. And the other thing is knowing where you can go get it if you've got fuel. Third thing is, what do you do in terms of exchange for whatever it is that you're buying? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be a piece of silver? Is it going to be, I got cantaloupes and you love them and I want them boards? You know, figure it out. Next.
Has Drake read Thinking and Destiny by Harold Percival?
Yeah, I did a light read on that.
Okay.
It didn't
and then there was another one. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Drake.
It didn't suit my fancy as much as I thought it might. Go ahead.
Okay, has he read The Law by Frederick Bastiat?
Yeah, and I didn't like that at all. Next.
Okay. One of our readers says that Kishi technology could fix your cough, too. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, anything new?
Yeah, hold on a minute. It worries me when the general public thinks they're going to plug me in and fix something. Sorry, but it does. Next.
Okay. What is the timeline and/or holdup on the Keenan lawsuit at this point, Drake?
That's a good question. Everything's going the right direction. Hopefully things will be culminating pretty soon. We'll see. Next.
Yeah, and then the second part of the question is, do you expect change right away if and when the Keenan lawsuit is filed? Will it be immediate?
Well, I don't know that it'll be the same day that that it's filed or the same day actions are taken. I would suggest there's probably a lead and lag time and things of this nature in there that I haven't fully determined, but some things are coming to fruition that hopefully will turn out to our benefit. Next.
Okay. All righty, let's see. We have that was all the questions I had from the chat and the email. So we'll take a few calls unless you want to go get a little refreshment or something and take a 4 or 5 minute break with a song, and then we'll start taking.
How much time we got left?
We have 19 minutes.
Why don't we just go ahead and breeze through some calls?
Okay.
And I don't feel like going into overtime tonight, so.
Okay, gotcha. Milo in Georgia, you're with us.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I had a couple of quick ones. One is, are U.S. coins fiat currency?
If they're clad copper or something of that nature, yes. If they are solid silver, 64 and before, 68 before, somewhere along in there, no. Next.
Okay. All right, the other thing I wanted to ask you about was I have a friend who does a lot of work with ley lines, and he's talking about, like at ley line intersections, he's found what he refers to as portals. And he talks about these portals being used by some of the ancient civilizations, American Indians and such, to move from place to place or even into other dimensions. Can you tell us anything about those, and if any of these energies that are coming in may activate some of those portals?
The energies are not going to change as much as you think. The portals may or may not exist after the fact. Presently, you have to find a minimum of 3 ley lines crossing in order to have what's called an active or usable portal. Okay. And if somebody wants to know about that stuff, ley lines and intersect is the name of the book.
All right. Now, some of these are negative, some are positive, as I understand. In terms of polarity, and they
it depends on where it takes you. It depends on whether or not you understand how to operate the thing and pick your destination. It depends on whether or not you are sufficiently proficient in order to protect yourself when you run across such things. So there's a lot more goes into it. That's why I recommended that book, Ley Lines and Intersect. It does explain a lot of this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Milo. Appreciate your questions.
Thank you.
And I will ask our callers, please, once your question has been answered, if you will press the number 1 to lower your hand to remove you from the host queue. And I will ask, if you can, please try to limit it to 1 question, and we don't need to exchange hellos. So we all know, okay? So thank you very much, audience. I really appreciate your help. Okay, Rob from Melbourne. Rob, you're on with us. Welcome back, Rob.
Hey, thank you. Hey, Drake, I got some friends that, they're homeless vets. There's no opportunities here in Florida. They're actually out living in tents. Is there a place, once this goes down, once it's gone over, and is there a place they're going to be able to go to get some financial help once this is completed, some cash in their pocket? And thank you very much.
There's a couple of things that goes with that, and I don't know if they trust the VA or not. Most vets that are in that at that level don't, and I don't blame them. They've been crapped on by the government too much, and they don't want to fool with it twice. However, they have emergency programs that have been augmented that deal with homeless veterans that can help them. There's also the capability of deriving benefit, possibly, in terms of whatever their service was. These things, if they go to a veterans officer, one of the people that's out there that helps, they can find all these things out. It only takes about a day. So if they can spend a day sitting and being around an office for a day, and the guy will do the check-in, and you'll find out, and go from there, then you can find out about, possible benefits, things of that nature. The other part of it is that, yes, these things are all going to be addressed as immediately as it is possible to release funding to different areas that are in need of the results of the relief that this would bring. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your call. Okay. All right, we have Bob in New York. Bob, you're live. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. No, we got Doc from South Dakota is live.
Yeah, just a quick comment, I guess. Drake, would this not be the ideal opportunity to nab about 4 or maybe 5 of the people on that list of 8 down in Charlotte with the intel and the U.S. Marshals?
There's been a lot of discussion on all that, and I don't quite understand why they didn't take the Bilderbergers or the Council of 300, or as you say, you got a whole group, you got a whole bunch of them right in the same place. Why not snatch them? And I fully agree. Now, the only trick is that the government does things its own way, under its own schedule, and they don't really listen a whole lot to other people. And apparently this has all been scheduled. Now, whether they want to do this in a certain manner to try to preserve privacy for the individual involved, I have no idea. It could be also that they're trying to preserve the identity of the individuals involved in perpetrating the arrests. There's a lot of things in this, as I said, that have not been given to me yet. I am working on it, but those are my suggestions. And good question. I mean, maybe call up a congressman or a senator or two and complain. Maybe that'll work. Okay?
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate your call. I wanted to let Rick Minuteman know your mic is open again, Rick. Did you hear the question that you weren't on the board to receive earlier?
Yes, ma'am. I most certainly did, and you answered it. Well, just about how I would have.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to acknowledge that you were back with us for everybody. So welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I've been here the whole show. I don't know why it said that I dropped off. I did drop off one time but called back in, and, well, you know how Blog Talk's been here lately, so.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
We've had a little bit of fun and games tonight, but it hasn't been. It could be worse. Let's knock wood. Okay.
Well, we do gotta remember one thing. It might not be Blog Talk.
It may not be.
It could be something else.
It could absolutely. In fact, the likelihood is that it isn't Blog Talk, that it is something else. Okay, Bob in New York. Bob, you are now live.
Hey, Drake, were you the one that I read about that was picked up by, I guess, some high-ranking Army officials from your place of work? I guess you must have come out and they must have picked you up and take you up into a house someplace, and they threw about 4 or 5 documents one on another and asked you to go through them. Was that you?
No.
Okay, well, okay. Okay, thank you.
Was that your question? Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, Eagle. Eagle's with us this evening. Welcome, Eagle.
Yeah, this is directed to mostly Drake and Rick, but it can affect Grammy J and Denise. My statement is this. Drake and Company only offers us the pill. It's our choice whether we take the blue pill or the red pill. If we don't take the one that goes down the rabbit hole to see how deep it goes, that's our fault. So I think that all of this bashing that I've heard and everything else on Drake and the rest of them is a bunch of bull, because it's our choice. We either take the blue pill or the red pill and go from there. Why is everybody being detrimental? Drake is only a spokesman for everybody. He isn't God, and he doesn't claim to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of people out there that need to wake up and see what's really going on. He's only given information. He puts his whole life out there for everybody's benefit, and here people are bashing everybody, and that's not right. We need to take the blue pill or the red pill and go from there.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, Eagle.
And the thing that really irks me the most is when Neil had taken his pill, okay, he asked some questions, yeah, but he wasn't asking what I consider silly questions that can be answered as you go through. He was asking questions to benefit, and you notice that he came out being, where he's supposed to be, and was helping everybody else be where they're supposed to be, like that young man that, was traipsing around after him, and he said, well, I didn't do anything, I just showed you the way. So, people need to wake up. Drake is not God. He is only a messenger for everybody. So don't trash the messenger, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eagle. We always appreciate your call, and I'm going to be in touch with you after the show, okay?
I'd like to talk to you about too.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eagle. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, sir. Okay. Drake, we had a couple more quick questions that popped up, and we've got about 5 minutes left. Let's see. Barry Matthews asked, it was about Drake's comment on Bush Sr. holding up the RV. How could Bush Sr. hold up a global financial restructuring, which is what is supposed to be happening? Also, the financial reset is supposed to go through the BIS, but Neil has filed the lien against them. Does that impact the RV?
Yes, it did, and they worked around it, and the BIS doesn't have anything to say. Number two, Bush Sr. controls the crime cartel that does have the financial means to interrupt and cause problems to the extent that the thing can be delayed indefinitely. This is one of the reasons that these people need to be removed. Next.
Okay. Are any of the channelers worth listening to? Sheldon, Nidal, Galactic Federation of Light Channelers, etc. There is so much disinfo.
Okay. First of all, disinfo is going to come through channelers. They say they channel, disregard it. It's not valid. And the manner in which somebody can communicate is a high-level form of psychic communication known as telepathy. It is a very special form of it. Do not misunderstand me. Not everybody has the ability in terms of the training necessary to do so. I'm lucky enough to be being trained as we speak to be able to do that with some proficiency. So, the disinfo you're going to find comes from people who will say this and that, and when you're actually involved, as I am, in some of these operations, and you know what exactly happened and who was involved, and they say something different, then you know what their information is worth. And I have not found anybody on the Internet holding anything out that's valid other than Tolek. Next.
Okay. Okay. All right. Uktena, you're live.
This is Uktena from New Mexico. First, I'd like to say to Minuteman, I was so sad to hear you're not a cross-dresser.
Right.
And for...
oh, now wait a minute. It's possible.
I know, it is possible.
He did say it was possible.
I want the video.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes left, honey.
Okay,
So
Drake, my husband is also a Vietnam vet, 1st Cav, Central Highlands, and he's just a bad old boy like you are. And what I wanted to say was that I agree with you so much. I walk in two worlds, too. I walk in this world, the 3D world, and in the spirit world, and I've been trained to do that since childhood. And in the spirit world, I've always been told that it's going to work out okay. But like you said, we've got to do things. We just can't sit on our butts and go, oh, yeah, it's going to be, we have to do things. So in the 3D world I live in, 2 weeks ago I went to the city commission and I stood up there and I told the mayor to grow up and stop acting like a red rooster, bantam strutting around, and that he's a servant of the people. And I also got a petition to have him removed, a recall vote petition. And that's the stuff that we have to do, as you know. And my quick question is, I was just taken aback with, you know, saying that you would go for Romney, and I heard all your things over Obama. And we all know Romney is a 1%er, a flip-flopper. He's already said he'd support Iran and drop veterans' benefits. And if he could be taken out as easily as you said, why haven't we done that to Obama? Thanks you, honey.
Thank you, Oksana.
Well, I don't know the time schedule of these people in terms of what they want to really do in terms of taking action. There is a key component that has yet to happen, and we'll see what happens at that point. It's a lot closer than people think. And I was 8 Company, 1st of the 7th Cavalry in the Highlands as well, 2 Corps and I Corps. So there.
Okay, we have 30 seconds for closing statement.
Closing statement, I say, get her done. Next.
Rick?
Hey, well, okay. Anyway, folks, look, don't compromise your principles in fear. Please.
Okay.
Stand your ground.
Okay. Grammy?
And I would just like to say, may the Great Spirit bless you and your loved ones and our planet and beyond.
And I would like to say, would God grant me peace from Chihuahuas? Okay.
You wouldn't know what to do without them little guys.
I wouldn't. I want to thank everyone for being with us. We will be back again on Sunday. Drake, we do have 4 more callers if you wanted to continue just for those last 4 calls after the end of the break. But otherwise, I will close for now, and I will have everyone have a wonderful week until we meet again on the weekend, and may God bless.
Hey, one other thing.
Okay.
Those people who are callers, if we miss you, send an email saying you are a caller and had a specific question. We'll be sure to answer it.
Absolutely. onefreepeople@gmail.com.
Say you were a caller.
Yes. Hey, Drake, we had 3 callers if you had the time for 3 quick questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Drake has hung up. Grammy, are you there? Drake just hung up. I'm not sure he hung up. He may have dropped. I can you and I, Grammy, can document these last 3 questions from our callers, and we'll get those to Drake. Okay. Hi, Bob from North Carolina. I'm sorry. I don't know if Drake intentionally dropped off because he hung on right to the end of the song. I think he may have gotten disconnected.
You want to wait to see if he reconnects?
He cannot reconnect after we have gone off air.
Oh, he can't?
No, sir, I'm sorry. I can suggest one of 2 things. Either I can take down your question and relay it to Drake, or you can send your question to onefreepeople@gmail.com and say that you were a caller and we missed you.
All right.
And I will, in which case I will answer your question immediately.
Put that in the subject line. I was a caller.
All right, thanks. I'll do that.
I'm sorry, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Mimo?
Hey, Grammy J and Denise.
Hey, Mimo.
Hi, honey.
Is there a question that we might be able to answer, honey, or would you like us to relay a question to Drake?
I'm pretty sure Grammy J knows this one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I feel like I'm in Jeopardy. So I heard yesterday or today that Iran was one of my parents is from Iran. I don't know whatever. So I've been like trying to study it since whatever. But is that they're sending ships by southern part of Florida in order to retaliate for the Persian Gulf, and also that Google changed the Persian Gulf's name. Do you know about that?
I know a couple of things, darling, but I am not at liberty to discuss that.
Yeah, we wouldn't know about military movements or anything like that.
Should I just send a question? Because I just filled it out.
You should send it, honey, to One Free People and just say I was a caller.
Yeah, I just did it, so I just.
Thank you, sweetheart, and we apologize.
Hey, it was good to hear your beautiful voice.
I will interject something, if I may.
Go ahead.
What's that?
I did hear today that there were troops that were supposed to be moving sometime around December, and I got it from a family member that they're leaving early. But I don't think it has anything to do with Iran, sweetie.
Oh, but that would be cool if Iran, Russia, and China all had troops out here ready to help us.
I don't think that it is going to be a conflict with Iran, sweetie.
Yeah, but if you think about it, say they did send troops, all their troops on ship.
I just have to stop and say no more, but I love you.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Mimo.
All right, take care.
We'll look forward to your email, honey.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Hold on, Grammy. I'm trying to open up the last call.
That was tough.
Okay, caller from Wisconsin. I'm sorry. You're with Grammy and Denise.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. Obviously, I was hoping to kind of be part of the show.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question we can share with Drake for you?
Well, I got a couple little perspectives on things, but honestly, one of the big things, obviously, is that I was really disappointed with the Ron Paul performance at the Jay Leno last night.
I didn't actually get to hear it myself.
Oh, man.
Are you disappointed that he basically said he would not run in a third party?
Well, it was that, but, it was even more than that. He almost, tucked his tail underneath his butt and didn't even criticize Romney, which is really disappointing.
Well, that's because there's a suit that's been filed, and he can't talk about that right now, honey, and that's what you don't realize, because Mr. Gilbert was on our show last night, and they're working very, very diligently to get a write-in campaign started, because if they can get a court order for a write-in ballot, a blank write-in ballot that every voter can ask for, we could actually vote for that man, and he would be our president. And Ron Paul is very well aware of that, but there's things he just can't say right now because there's a suit going about it.
Right. That, and also Mr. Gilbert is also working on, and this, he said it could be done very expeditiously in order to lift the write-in stipulation. There are several states that do not allow write-ins, and that's unconstitutional. And Mr. Gilbert is working on getting that changed and that should be able to be done very, very quickly.
Yes.
Well,
so there is still a definite possibility that Ron Paul could still be our candidate.
Well, you know what, and I totally agree. Well, you know, one of the most, you know, open things would be the Libertarian Party. They have 48 ballot access and access to the debate, and I don't disagree with that, and that's what I'm really disappointed with. Some people are saying Jesse Ventura actually went to Mexico this year, and you know, that's very disappointing because he did promise he would run third party. But like I said, you know, obviously we're on limited time here. I have a lost mode of prayer. Yeah, I have a lost mode of prayer. That you know, I've been listening to a lot of spiritual teachers lately, just because I've been a little upset with how things have been going necessarily in politics. But there is something you can work on with yourself, and you know, and this is something I can put out, and it's Greg Braden. You know, he's a great man. Anyone should look into him. Same with Eckhart Tolle, especially if you're going to be frustrated, upset, you know, angry. A man named Eckhart Tolle will really ground you. He's done works that's called The Power of Now and The New Earth. But Greg Braden actually gives you a lost mode of prayer. And if you ever want something to happen, let's say if you want Ron Paul to be your president, feel the joy, feel the excitement. Feel what it feels like for Ron Paul to be your president, like it already happened, like we're 2 months down the road, and you feel it. Say, and no matter what it is, even if you want a car, whatever that car is, feel that you
envision yourself driving in that car.
Right, the power of positive thinking.
That's right, and at this point, if Ron Paul is not going to take up the bar or take up the mode, which he had a great opportunity last night on Jay Leno, at this point we really need to, you know, take it on our own. We have to, sadly, we're not going to have one person that's going to solve everything for us, sadly. You know, we're all hoping for that.
It's up to all of us.
Excuse me, Nemo. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Not Nemo.
Denise, didn't Mr. Gilbert give us his Facebook? Is it Robert Gilbert?
Richard Gilbert.
Richard Gilbert. You can find him on Facebook. He has a page. You can follow him. They do have a suit going. I guarantee you that Ron Paul did not say anything on live TV last night because of the complications of the suit.
Well, he did not leave the campaign. He did not say I'm not a presidential candidate, which is very important.
Very good.
All right. Well, caller, we really appreciate your call, and if you did have more statements you wanted to make, please go ahead and write in to onefreepeople@gmail.com, and we will pass along your message to Drake, and we will invite you to return and be with us on Sunday. This coming Sunday, it's at noon Eastern, or excuse me, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't. You're in Wisconsin, did you not say?
Yes, I'm a Central Time, so I can.
Oh, so you're Central.
I actually would enjoy being there at noon. Yes.
Yeah, maybe you can save his number and look for him when he comes in.
Okay, I can probably do that. No guarantees. I've got construction starting on my house tomorrow. So, but anyway, thank you so very much for calling. And
thank you.
I will share with you. Well, you can share with us as our last caller. You can share with us another closing song, and I think I've got a pretty one to play.
And God bless you, sweetie, for calling.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Well, actually, I actually just bought a native flute. It was just 2 days ago. Do you mind if I just close with a little native flute, or?
Oh, please.
Well, if you can, just a moment. Yes.
I'm actually, like I said, I only have 2 days, but let's just do a little fun. Why not? 30 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to start. I have it in my hand, so. All right. Thank you. Have a blessed evening.
Oh, thank you, and that was
honey.
absolutely beautiful. Thank you so very much.
Thanks so much. It was so great I could do that. Thank you.
We thank you for sharing.
Hugs to you, baby.
Okay,
All
talk
right,
to you
bye
soon.
now.
Thank you.
Thank you.